never lies.
Tape never lies.
The tape
Man,
never
it just-
lies.
Kicking the truth.
My goodness, it slaps.
Larry, you can't just...
Slaps.
Laughing. Oh,
Slaps.
right, how dare- Never
My goodness, it slaps. Slaps. I'm telling you right now, like it's so good. So good. Oh my god.
Bye-bye for now. We'll see you on the show. The tape never lies. Keeping it 100.
So good. Oh my god.
You guys.
The following show is for mature audiences only.
Watch the tape, and when you see the tape, you know the tape doesn't lie, and there's just the tape doesn't lie.
I mean, we all know that the changes had to happen at the end of this past season. The roster bottomed out, and I really admire the way that they approached this search, doing it the thorough way, using virtual interviews as a way to knock out as many of these as they wanted to. I tip my cap to George McCaskey and Ted Phillips, which I've not really done much in the past. And frankly, when they made the decision to fire Nagy and Pace, like I said, it was warranted. It was time. I was thinking, man, I was skeptical like everybody else that they weren't going to do this process the right way because they never seem to do it the right way. And ultimately, we'll judge these guys by wins and losses and where they are in the next several years. But at the very least, the way that they went about that process, narrowing down to Ryan Poles as the general manager, letting him take charge of hiring the head coach, I appreciate the way that they went about their business, thorough, leaving no stone unturned, and I've been really impressed by what they have so far in terms of these two new leaders. I know it's another Matt and Ryan, but look, it's a totally different approach to what their predecessors had done, and we'll see where it goes. I think it's going to be a tough year for the Bears in 2022 in terms of win-loss record, but we all know what the goal is now, and it's developing Justin Fields and building a roster the right way. I don't know, just because it's such a unique situation. I guess in theory it could happen. There is obviously interest between him and the organization initially, but that's a tough one to rebound from. It might be something where he has to sit there in the open market for a few months and let things heal up, get to a point where he's closer to full health, and then I think they probably just go their separate ways, honestly. It sounds great. It'd be nice if it would work out that way, but you're right, Shayne. It was absolutely the right move to not sign him once you come upon these medical details. I had spoken with some people around the league and agents in particular, not Larry's agent, but other agents about the process of, is this something they should have recognized? And everything I heard back was no. This isn't like the draft where you get the medicals beforehand and you have every bit of information there. It's really just bad fortunes. The other thing I kept hearing from people around the league is simply this sucks. You feel bad for Larry Ogunjobi, who got himself to this opportunity, hit the open market, earned his way to this point, and it's just bad fortunes. But ideally, for his sake, sign a one-year deal, whether it's Chicago or somewhere else. Go back on the open market next year and get that big money deal. I don't know if there's anybody who really jumps out and say that I don't think they're going to buy. Like the answer, and it's not because I don't think he'll buy in, but the guy you need to buy in is Roquan Smith. Like, he's going to be such a key cog in this defense. I believe he will. I'm not saying that because I'm questioning any motivation for him. In fact, he's got all the motivation in the world in terms of contract future. But I'll say this for the last regime, for Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy's group, they brought in good character players. That's a really good locker room. You mentioned, some of the whatever frustrations in the media perspective. None of that's to say these aren't terrific guys in there. I mean, I really believe in, when I say that, there's so many good guys that have been able to get to know with this team, but also just there's football character too, and understanding kind of what the last regime was able to identify in terms of creating that they didn't. Pace and Nagy didn't lose games the last several seasons because of a lack of buy-in. It was because of many other factors involved. So But I guess a different way to answer your question is you need that buy-in from a guy like Roquan Smith, who's going to be such a key figure within that defense and building out that identity that Matt Eberflus seeks. Yeah, you make some really good points there, but I think I kind of disagree in the sense of how Ryan Poles in this regime will value the position of running back. I think he's of the mindset, and this is something I've asked people who know the way that he scouts football players and the way that he values a roster. And the belief from people who know Ryan Poles is that he's not somebody who's going to he's not going to be somebody who's going to pay up for David Montgomery. Like, that contract is probably like, he'll probably want that Nick Chubb type deal. It's like a 3-year, like $36.5 million, I believe it was. I don't think the Bears are going to give him that, and that's still, that's still probably undervaluing somebody like Nick Chubb in Cleveland. But I don't know if the Bears are going to be giving that off to David Montgomery. And beyond that, I don't think Ryan Poles is going to be looking to take a running back before day 3. It's certainly not in this case where you got Montgomery. Everything we've said about Montgomery, it's not to devalue him as a player.
Right.
It's devaluing his position. Like, they value David Montgomery a lot, but they also see a guy who's taking some hits, a guy who's at that position where it's tough. It's tough. It really sucks if you're a running back because it's just the reality of the NFL. I think they will be drafting a running back on day 3. They've had opportunities on the open market to add somebody. Darrington Evans is a nice pickup, but I don't think he's somebody who you really count on your 53 just yet. I think Khalil Herbert's going to get some more opportunities, but unfortunately, the cruel part for any running back, and it might be the case for David Montgomery, is you let the guy take his however many carries this season. You offer him a deal that's probably insulting to him, but that's just the market that Ryan Poles feels is there. And ultimately, you shake hands and part ways.
I don't like getting rid of good players, so that's just
I'm with you.
That's just that's the surface level. I can't tell you about the cap. I can't tell you about how that worked and whether that was a favorable business decision. But as an operations guy, straight through and through, you don't want guys like that to leave your building. Yeah. That's basically all I can say about it.
It wasn't a talent issue. It was definitely all about business. And clearing the financial books.
Yeah, the business, and when you get the business end, that's not fun. So that's basically how that goes. So anything
Welcome
that goes
to the NFL.
Exactly. Right. It's a great draft for evaluators to have challenging evaluations, because it's filled with a lot of boom bust talent. And like for me as a guy who studies just 4 positions in depth, quarterbacks, I always like to say quarterback needs intermittent bench time and playing time. The NFL is never going to do that again, unless it's by accident. So these quarterbacks are perfect for that thing that will likely never happen. If it does, this will be a first. The running backs are deep, but there's not a lot of demand for running back this year. So a lot of these guys might get lost in the woods, and then they got to reemerge, and beat the labels that some of these coaches might give them because their draft capital was low and they didn't really give them enough reps in camp. Wide receivers boom bust because of injuries, because of guys who might not be tall enough to ride the ride, but might have game enough to be able to actually prove that they are the roller coaster in a good way. So that's interesting. Injuries to some of the top guys. And then guys who, people might say, are they scheme fit guys? Or are they true guys who can transcend a scheme fit if they don't land in that? And then the tight end class is always, you got Bill Belichick's way, which I like, which is screw the blockers. We can get them later. If you're drafting Jeremy Ruckert early, it's because, I don't know, I guess you're back in Woody Hayes days, as opposed to actually drafting a guy who can be a matchup problem at receiver and then worry about the blocking a little bit later. So there's a lot of guys maybe in the 4th, 5th, 6th round who could emerge as contributors in the receiving game. And then there's about 3 or 4 guys at the top who are just good enough as blockers, but very good receivers. So for me at this class, it's fascinating that way. Wide receiver could sneak in to be as strong as maybe the class, not this past class, but maybe 2020, 2019, if everybody hits. And that's pretty darn good.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100.
Here we go.
Trading up.
100.
Yes! What? Here it is! Or just recording.
The tape never lies.
Other people drop off, but we still keep rocking.
You'll never know how good your football team's going to be until you play with maximum effort.
Keeping it 100.
Open competition. Take over the North and never give it back.
Smartest man.
My Chicago Bears select Justin Fields, quarterback, Ohio State.
Guess who's back? The two dudes that kept it real. Dynamic duo that you love, the smartest man in Dr. Phil. Breaking down the film, never a problem, kick it straight. Most shows focus on stats, we focus on the tape. We keeping it 100, never running east to west. We coming with that truth, cause that's what our fans expect. Cut off the freaking anchor, forward to be free. But don't you worry, Shayne's got the dumbest tweets. It ain't no secret, Phil and Shayne got some haters. But now them out stuck like the two and now and later. Debaters, frauds get kicked like Coach Tabor. Cuts had to be me, we added the barber moderator. Up and down, boys got you double checking. Sad sacks trolling like a fool, drunk texting. Flexing on the truth cause you know they never change. Real, recognize real, that's what you get with Phil and Jimmy. What we do when we're breaking down the Bears. Fuck a play or a captain, all of the unfair. The tape never lies. The truth, you see, we laugh, we analyze, so there's no babies like Maybelline. Straight to the truth with acumen and facts. We got a sad nerd, but he's not just giving nerd stats. Car crash, big impact like Trick Sat. Every Wednesday night you got the smartest man and Phil back. Now we know you're smiling like a fat kid with fun did. We're back better than ever and we keeping it 100. Keeping it 100, baby.
Keep it 100. Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Justin Fields gets outside the pocket, puts that ball perfectly where only Mooney can get it. 1 point, 2 feet.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100. Keeping it 100, baby.
Keep it 100.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100, baby.
Keep it 100.
Keep it 100.
Birds never lie. Yeah, exactly.
Yo, it's not Claudio. It's your girl, Cherie, a.k.a. Lady Bear. I'm taking over. But tonight we got a fun guest. We got Courtney Cronin. She's the new ESPN Bears beat writer. So we're going to introduce her to some real Bear fans. So let's bring in the two stars of the show. We got Draft Dr. Phil and the biggest lion, Shayne, Marsaw.
Cherie working on perfect timing.
Yeah, she putting Claudia.
She hit the post.
Cherie told us before the show we should get rid of Claudio and give it to her, and I'm thinking she's right.
I have to show y'all why.
That's right.
Well, you did a great job. People are loving this spring hair. The curls. You're like with Matt Nagy's offense.
Curls.
More curls. More
Except
curls.
it was better on me than they did in Nagy's offense.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely agree with that. No doubt with that. You know, it's crazy how quickly the draft is coming up. Listen, Claudio is under the weather, so that means we're going to break his balls all night long, like Lionel Richie. And so, but he will not be on the show tonight. That means, of course, he was going to do Cut It Out tonight.
Of course, yeah.
You think that?
Did he tell you right before he told you he wasn't feeling well?
Yeah. He's like, I'm just, I don't feel well.
Oh, did he do the fake? Did he do the fake cough on the voicemail?
Through the cough.
That's the number one tell that you're full of shit.
He was trying to go. He was trying to go tonight, but then he called me back.
Froggy voice and everything.
He did have a froggy voice, but he told me a few days ago he wasn't feeling well. So, and Chris Jackal is having a procedure tomorrow, so he has to get up real early. You played the whole thing. But Cherie, you hit the post. You opened the show. Again, TTNL. Let me think. I point this way. It's over there. There. Down there in the corner over there. You could see TTNL, the crew, every Wednesday night, keeping it 100. Both Claudio and Jackal were like, you know what? I was so looking forward to it because it's my release. It's my therapy. And they couldn't be here tonight in all seriousness. So send some positive energy their way. Here every Wednesday night. Bullets was the first guy in the chat tonight. Real early. I think like 4:30. Getting ready for TTNL.
Yeah, he was breaking the Matt Nagy firing news probably. Tell everybody.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah. Can jump into a volcano. Actually,
can you find the video of him talking to Allen Robinson? That's the classic. I
don't even know if I still have to look back.
Oh my God.
He usually sends me,
even if it's later in the show, to give perspective.
Yeah, he
I
usually
know Josh E
Instagram.
and Logan are TTNL parading on motorcycles, hang gliders, scuba gear in the Philippines, telling everybody about TTNL. So we appreciate that. We have our guy Dez staying up late in Scotland. All I have to do is you got to fight for your freedom. Speaking of freedom, free agency has been on point. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. We are obviously, as Sharia has said, we're excited that new Chicago Bears beat reporter for ESPN. Obviously, the replacing of JD under the circumstances is something that nobody wants. You know what I'm saying? So that in above itself, we'll get that out of the way. Obviously, it's tough in above itself. But then to come back and be a part of the city that she grew up with and to grace, I think we're the first Bears show that she's been on. So obviously, she knows Keeping It 100, the best Bears show on the planet, Shayne.
That's right.
Got to get Courtney on the show. Show her some love, some TTNL love. Got a lot of fans in the chat excited. Obviously, we are going to be talking a lot about the Chicago Bears free agent signings, the draft. We're going to do a live mock draft tonight. Is Cars coming tonight, or is he sick as well?
I think he's going to be here at some point.
Is
I haven't
this
heard
your
back from him.
skip day?
That's next week. That's next Wednesday. Cars is going to be in Miami. I'm going to be down south too. So might be the Cherie and Phil show.
It might be me and you, Cherie, next week.
We
To
got
the
this.
show, just to be honest, next week it might be Thursday. So it might not be Wednesday because I'm moving my whole house and it's just chaos.
Well, you're going to leave the house there.
Yes,
You're not taking it with you.
But I'm
moving
taking
to a new
all
house.
the articles.
That would be weird.
For
Fuck.
11 years.
Claudio wouldn't even fucking show up with his truck to help you move your house.
Claudio's sick now. He's got a built-in excuse, but yeah. I thought he was going to help me, but I guess not. Now.
Oh, so this is the setup for not helping you move. Okay.
I think there's like a strategy here. Like he's playing Othello, getting things lined up. Yes, breaking news that we found a house. I'm saying it before we signed the papers. I'm kind of superstitious on that shit. But we close next week and we close and we close and you move. So all of the chaos is crazy. But again, like I was saying, thank you to all the fans and everyone that has reached out to my family and supported us with that positive energy, because I am very happy I didn't want to move. Happy wife, happy
Damn
life.
wives.
Yeah. So, but we found a beautiful house, excited about it, getting in there, the studio. I got a bunch of stuff I got to get to. And, but I'm saying over 11 years, you don't realize how much you accumulate.
Oh,
It's
yes,
just like,
I do.
holy shit. And I filled up 2 dumpsters of stuff, and I still have so
You
much.
and I had this conversation yesterday because we moved. It's going to be 4 years ago, and we did the same thing. I'm like, where do we get all of this stuff? And I was like, fuck it. I'm just throwing everything in. Hila goes to work. She's like, don't touch this, don't touch this, don't touch this. And she drives to work, and I'm like, there's chucking it all in. So I got back from work one day, and there she is on a fucking ladder looking in the dumpster like, oh, you motherfucker. I can't believe you threw that thing in there that's been in a box for the last 10 years that I haven't touched.
Exactly. I was waiting for Steph to go to Dunkin' Donuts, throw some shit out. My son Tate, though, he saw some things in the dumpster that he apparently liked but hadn't played with for 3 years. This Batman freaking castle thing that's all of a sudden he's pulling it out. I'm like, can we just get? And I was putting things on the side of the road. Everyone's like, you should sell that. I'm like, I don't have time to be selling.
Braggs is breaking news here too. Are we going to break this tonight?
No. Shayne calls Braggs and plays a prank on him. Not knowing me, I'm like, okay.
Phil can't pull pranks. He's literally
I don't want to play a prank.
Person
I was
in
going
the world.
this way to a prank. Shayne's like, I got this. So I'm sitting here thinking we're gonna prank Braggs on son. Silly. Shayne throws that my wife is pregnant again. I'm like, I'm on the phone. Like, how am I going along with this? I hate this. Don't ever say that. Don't put that up. But yes, I'm owning it. We are moving, excited, and I thank everybody who. It's not easy, I'll tell you that. This is why my Uncle Sam Ritigliano was like, don't get into the NFL coaching. Coach in the high school, because you don't want to be moving your family, picking up, going here. Trust me, I'm not a big fan of moving. But that being said, moving along. So next week, just pay attention to the promos because Shayne will be in Myrtle Beach vacationing, living it up.
Yeah, it's gonna be
poor folk will be
nothing
moving.
better than staying in a hotel room with a screaming 10-month-old lunatic. Let's get
Drop
crazy.
her off with me on the way down.
I'll do not tempt me.
I think
actually maybe I'll just send Hila with the kids and I'll just hang out with you for the week, Sheree. How's that?
Okay.
We can get our manscape.
I'll be
on.
making that phone call to my supervisor.
Yeah, it should be fun. I love Myrtle Beach, but I can't drive again. Never again. I did it.
I didn't want
twice.
to.
Twice I did
She
it.
wanted to fill up the family fun bus and try it out, and I wasn't exactly excited about it either. But you know how you just said he didn't want to move, so happy wife. Shitty road trip, but we'll see.
There will be TTNL next week. I just don't know, Bruce, and everybody listening. And I listen.
You're gonna get sick of us the week after that because you'll be seeing us every night. The week of the draft, every single night. We did it last year. We went live Sunday before the draft, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Sunday morning. So it was literally
a lot of fun.
8 straight days of TTNL.
We went Saturday too. You skipped Saturday, didn't you?
I didn't think I did, but yeah, you were at a soccer game. And
I was at a soccer game live.
George and I were there, and the Bears selected Larry Borum, and we didn't know a whole bunch about him then. So yeah, but we'll have it all covered, man. I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be exciting. Covering the draft, we got a confirmed celebrity guests coming back, returning, and I'm going to reach out to some other people to see if they like to jump on the show and give Shayne some names. Hopefully that happens.
Give me some names.
So we'll see. Next week, though, just pay attention. It's either going to be Wednesday or Thursday night with Dan Wiederer. Is that how you say it?
Wiederer.
Wiederer.
Yeah.
It's just so
Wiederer.
You got a week to practice, Phil.
Yeah, I got to practice.
I'll be down in his old stomping grounds. He covered college basketball down, Tobacco Road for
You gotta
years
get in
back
touch.
when Carolina won it. Yeah.
You got to get in touch with Silas Kelly.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
See if
Well,
you can
Ryan
do that for him.
Cox is going to be like 45 minutes from me for a few days.
There you go.
He's heading to his in-laws, so maybe that's another place I can drop my daughter off. You never know.
I can guarantee you this. Next week will be fun. Tonight's going to be a lot of fun. And I can guarantee draft week, there's not going to be any better Bears coverage out there.
No.
So we're going to be breaking it down live. Kaplan, Waldman, Rank, and a bunch of other of your favorites coming live on the airwaves talking about the Chicago Bears and the draft.
We were going to have on Greg Braggs, but
He just
Cherie
doesn't know.
yielded her veto power and said, fuck that.
Yeah, no.
So we got to go with our girl Cherie.
Yes. Last year, obviously, there was the excitement and the prediction by the network that the Bears were going to trade up and get a quarterback. And it came to fruition. So, yeah, to be able to capture that and be embracing that, obviously, how are we going to beat that? Are we going to be able to have another Shayne or Carr's prediction come true?
That's going to be hard sitting there at 39 and 48.
39?
We'll try. If anybody can do it, it's us. We'll do it. But last year was just a special set of circumstances for sure. And the way that it unfolded, Carr's nailed it the night before on the live mock, and we'll see what we do this year.
We're going to do a live mock tonight with you guys. Last week we did it with you, with the fans. Tonight we're going to be doing it with me and Shayne. Maybe we'll add Cherie as our college scouting director. See what she has to say.
I'll watch 2 teams. That's it.
Last year's draft, though, our guest tonight was in another, what do we call it? A purple city.
Yeah.
She was covering like the Vikings, and she's from the Chicago area. We're going to get all into this with her. How do you separate your allegiances? Do you keep a professional face on before you go on? Do you have to do this? Do you have to go, all right, and 1 and 2 and 3?
You gotta rub the earlobes, the woosah.
Earlobes. Do you punch yourself when you have to talk to Kirk Cousins? I don't know
like
how
that?
she does
You
it.
like that? Yeah.
She's got to say it like in the mirror. You like that? You like? I don't know if she does that, but I'm excited because forget the past. The future is brighter with this woman handling the mic and talking Chicago Bears. But this is her first Bears show, I believe, outside of ESPN. I don't know. I think. But we introduce our guests on the Best Bears show in a certain way. And I hope she can hear this intro because I don't think anybody will introduce her better than we're about to introduce her now. Her name is Courtney Cronin. Let's bring her out.
With all the changes the Bears made this offseason, it also includes new beginnings for members of the media. Even though she covered the team in purple that continues to throw gobs of guaranteed money at Kirk Cousins.
No, God!
But more importantly, Chicago and Chicago Bears fans are excited to welcome her back home where she belongs. Yes, they're big shoes to fill, but she's just the one to fill them, and we couldn't be happier about it. Bears fans, TTNL fans, Please stand up and brush off those welcome home mats and help us welcome the new Chicago Bears beat reporter for ESPN and ESPN Radio. She's Courtney Cronin.
Go Bears! There she is.
That was incredible. Thank you, guys. I've literally have never had an introduction like that.
That's the entire reason you left Minnesota for Chicago, right, Courtney?
Thank you guys so much.
Are you blushing? Because
Exactly.
that was the goal.
No, it's just the crappy lighting in this like 1980s inspired office that I'm currently working out of at my mom's house until I move to the city. So
I thought that Mark Potash was allowing you to work out of his basement.
Have you seen Potsy's?
I
TV
haven't, but I live,
he's-
I'm from the northern suburbs of Chicago. So this was a very like, I guess the style back in like the 90s, 80s when my parents bought this house. So I'm back here for a little bit, and this is my dwelling grounds currently. So
Potsy's got a TV behind him that's literally from like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Like I think they took it from that set.
Or a bowling alley. Remember those bubble TVs that are hanging up there?
They used to have them in Soldier Field like literally 5 years ago. The same TVs before they upgraded. Sadly.
Finally upgraded. We're excited to have you on the show. Obviously, the intro says it all. If you're just tuning in, Courtney Cronin, new Bears beat reporter on ESPN. She's the face now, the voice, the face. You're on the network as well as the radio. My guy David Kaplan has nothing but positive things to say about you. We're excited to have you here. So what has that been like? Obviously, that's the elephant in the room. You like that. You were like, you like that. I'm out of here. And now you're with the Bears. How has that been?
I mean, it's been kind of a whirlwind the last, I just left there 2 months ago, not even. Like it was the 26th or something of February when I left Minneapolis. 2 days later, I was in Indy covering another team at the Combine. And I don't think I've really grasped the fact that I'm no longer the Minnesota Vikings beat reporter. I mean, because I've split duties a little bit as we were waiting to find out who's going to take my job in Minnesota. I've helped out a little bit. So it's not like I've completely unplugged from their draft coverage and free agency for the Vikings and stuff like that. But it's weird because I was so close to Chicago when I was up there. So during the off season, I used to come home for 2-3 weeks at a time, be with my family, then go back. So it kind of feels like it's an extended period of that. But eventually I won't be going back. I'll just be going into the city where I'm going to live. So it's getting used to that's a little weird, but
I'm moving. I know what it's like.
I'm thrilled to be home. It's so great to be near my family and get to, do this in the city that, means a lot to me. So I'm really excited.
So remove the professionalism just for a second. When you finally found out that it was official that you're coming back to cover the Chicago Bears, what was that first phone call like when you called your parents and your friends? And I can only imagine that you guys went crazy and everything, but speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, it was so wild because I wasn't anticipating leaving. We didn't know how ESPN was going to handle filling the role for JD. And that was a really, really hard thing because he was one of my mentors. I mean, he got me into he opened the door for me at ESPN Radio, which I would never have that opportunity without him. So when I got the call, I was in the process of looking to buy a home in Minnesota because I'm I'm going to be here a little bit. I might as well. I've been here, just finished covering my 5th season. It's probably time to put some actual roots down. And it was that day I got off the phone with my realtor up there.
Oh, wow.
And an hour later, it was, okay, you're going to Chicago. And I called my mom and she just started crying. And it was a really cool moment just
That's
because
awesome.
I've been gone for so long. Glenbrook South alum 2008, went to Indiana for college, graduated in 12, and I've been kind of on the move ever since then. I've lived everywhere but here since college, and to get to come home and be near my family, but having that personal and like professional balance, as they like to call it. Even though, we know the NFL doesn't sleep, it's a year-round calendar. It's nice to get to do that when your support network is right there with you. So that was really fun. And like, this is going to sound weird. Probably. I didn't grow up a Bears fan. Like my parents we're a college football family, which is even worse. Cause like the college football ties are Northwestern, and I went to Indiana. Like, it's just like, I don't know.
I was worried you were going to say Notre Dame, and then I was going to have to make fun of you, but that's okay.
I live in a very like Irish Catholic neighborhood up here, and like so my mom just like absolutely hates Notre Dame people.
Well, I love your mother all the more now.
Hates seeing the flags flying, like just thinks that they're obnoxious and irrelevant, which kind of true.
Yes.
But like we grew up with like Northwestern stuff like all the time, and the Bears were so bad when I was like when I was growing up. Like my parents didn't want to pay to take us to games, so I didn't grow up on the Bears. And I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's so great you're going home, you're covering the team that you were a fan of." I'm like, I'm not, because there were Vikings fans my 5 years covering that team, which I had no ties to before I got up there, who would just like blatantly accuse me of being a Bears fan. I'm like, did you grow up in the 90s? Like, did you watch this team? Like, but all that aside, like I have a lot of friends obviously that are still here that are Bears fans. And I think that was a kind of a cool moment for them too, knowing that like I'll be covering the team that they love, and hopefully, for them, it'll be worth it, I guess, to read my coverage if there's much to read. So hopefully.
How do you take me back? Obviously, what team did you cheer for as a kid first, and then answer that first, and then
we weren't really like an NFL family. Like again, like it was just like I grew up with like college football ties, so that was my introduction to football. And I know it's weird just because being from Chicago. I mean the Bears were always they're always going to be the top dog in town, even if they're a 5-11 team, which is crazy. But I mean I grew up obviously a huge Bulls fan, big Cubs fan, which was really fun getting to like be at the World Series in 2016. Like, again, like I haven't really been around here all that much the last decade outside of just like quick trips, to and from. And I had a chance to come back. And when I was covering the Raiders and the 49ers, there was a week that worked that just happened to be during the World Series in 16. And I got a chance to go to Game 5 in the bleachers with my brother. So getting to like live those childhood dreams out when you're an adult is really fun. But as far as the football stuff, I knew, I followed the Bears. I just wasn't really like an NFL fan. And now I'm so entrenched in it. I don't know if I'm truly a fan of like any professional sports franchise now outside of like casually watching, the Cubs as they begin their own rebuild here, which is going to be long and painstaking process. But no, it's, I know that's weird for some people to understand, but I think it helps me tell the story more objectively because I have no emotional ties to it whatsoever, but I can absorb and understand the fans and their emotional ties because I can totally understand why my mentions are very toxic anytime I tweet anything that Ryan Poles or Matt Eberflus says right now, because you have a lot of skeptical fans who say, okay, we heard this in 2015, we heard it in 2018. And I can totally get that from a fan's perspective.
I appreciate the transparency because our fans of our show are rabid, and I
love that.
And we had fans waiting here at 4:30 East for the show to begin, and excited to meet you. And I always say the best reporters when it comes to football are those that understand that me, the fan, the analyst, the fan that's watching this show, they live and die with this team. So when a reporter comes in with their nose stuck up in the air and doesn't understand that every little nugget is so important to somebody that follows it religiously, that a Bears loss, I'll raise my hand to this, affects my whole week. So your responsibility to everybody that wants to follow you, because you're in the best position for the fans to ask the question, to be the voice of the fan, to know what the fans want to know and hear. We've been neglected with Coach Nagy. and the team was a showcase, a reflection of him. But for you to be at this position, even without, I think that's so important that you said that tonight. And I'm kind of explaining it to the fans because now the transparency is there's no bias. Your job is going to be to report exactly what's going on with this football team. And I respect that. Now, my question to you is, how did you embrace the game of football? How did you study the game and become a part of this great game, which I believe is the greatest in the world?
Yeah, it's a great question because my brother never played, and my dad, Southside Irish Catholic, grew up in Beverly, like old school though. Like his father didn't allow him to play football. Like I'm right over there. I can probably grab it. It's my grandfather on my mom's side. He played football and he has a leather helmet, which is like during COVID, I came back and lived here for a couple months, and I had to have like my setup for like all my live shots. So like I still have it over here, and my leather helmet from my grandfather's over there. So I learned football from him, but like not from like my dad, because my dad didn't let my brother play it because he never played it. So the football side of like being a college football family and all of that's on my like mom's side. She always like called herself the sports mom because my dad was into like auto racing, and like my mom's into like, baseball, basketball, NFL, like the Bears, the whatever's going on, she cares about. So I like learned football at a young age that way. And I think through high school, started like paying attention more, obviously reading the Tribune, reading the Sun-Times, like finding local coverage that, I could kind of sink my teeth into. And then when I decided I wanted to do this for a career, which I knew from a really young age, being able to go in without the pretense that I knew anything, because I didn't, like, some of like the foundational things for me as a reporter and learning how to cover football, but learning how to like, go really deep with X's and O's came from my time in Mississippi when I covered high school football and SEC football, and being able to like have my coaches at the high school level let me go in and watch film, watch practice, be in meetings, and just really peel back the curtain for me at a level where I could, sink my teeth into something new, where it's not, I'm 22 years old, starting to cover the NFL. Like I was in at the ground level as a journalist when I graduated college. And for me, that is where my like true love of the game came from. I think at like an older age where I could appreciate, okay, there's so much nuance to this sport, and there's you can just take it like so many different directions. And that's why I loved it. And like, I feel like I knew then in Mississippi, okay, football is probably where my passion really is. And then when I started covering the NFL, my next job in the Bay Area, when I was, I was really there to cover the Warriors. But then of course, like, oh, NFL season rolls around. Nobody cares about the October Warriors games, so we're going to have you cover the Raiders and the 49ers. And that's when I knew for sure that like I wanted to make a career for myself out of covering the NFL full time, because I just think it's like a living, breathing ecosystem, and it's all encompassing, and it's just, there's a lot that goes into it. And I feel like it's completely a full-time job to cover the league, like the league of leagues. And that's, it's probably a long-winded answer to your question, but
that's great.
I feel like my knowledge of the game is kind of like always evolving. I don't feel like football changes. You got to go along with the trends, right? Isn't that what everybody says about how, passing trends and, everything's trending towards the offense? Like it's the same for reporters and learning how to cover the teams that, are relevant and the ones that aren't, and, how this thing is ever evolving.
If you back up to about a year ago when you were covering Minnesota, we got a guy here now, quarterback Justin Fields. There was a lot of talk right after the draft that Spielman kind of had him earmarked if potentially he dropped down, to what were they at? Were they 14th or 14. Something? Yeah, right around there. There was even talk that they were interested in potentially moving up. It could have been for an offensive lineman, but there was some rumors there that it was. Yeah. So do you think that there was a lot of truth that Spielman wanted Fields potentially in Minnesota?
I reported that the Monday after the draft. I had a long story that kind of detailed everything that should still be up if people want to read it at ESPN.com. So what happened was like, so the first round, and I think there was a video that Carolina had posted of like a behind the scenes thing on draft day where
Oh,
I don't remember when they posted it, but that's kind of like when people saw how like what was actually like going on. This was like, I think few weeks after that. But yeah, I mean, the interest was there because there was a directive from ownership in the 2021 off season that they're going to come to a head with this thing with Kirk Cousins' contract or with the coaching staff and with the front office, like because Spielman, Zimmer, and Cousins were kind of all within, you know, they were all kind of at this point where you either have to extend them all again or make some serious changes. And I think the reason that they went after Justin Fields is because they started to see him drop. And when Denver didn't take him, I think they were 9 when they ended up taking Surtain. That's when like it really started. I think a little bit before that, obviously with Carolina, I believe they were at 7 because they were also they were interested in Slater and they were interested in Fields. And the way that it was presented to me is that, during the off season, they didn't want to just go into it the plan of, okay, we're going to take another 6th or 7th round quarterback because most times those don't pan out. They needed to have an actual, or what they believed was an actual succession plan in place for Kirk Cousins. Like, let's say he plays great last year and they make the playoffs, that's one thing. Or if he took a complete nosedive, which he obviously didn't, that they would have something waiting in the wings. And so it doesn't work out with Fields because the Giants trade up and, really surprised, I think, a lot of people with what they were willing to do at that time. And, that was Dave Gettleman throwing his own Hail Mary and trying to save his job, which, he retired. But like, that's, I think that it was very real that was in play for them and it would have put Kirk Cousins on borrowed time. But of course, the way that things played out where Kellen Mond was even, and I wrote this in that article, when they miss out on Fields because they weren't aggressive enough and like they just couldn't pull off the trade. It's hard to trade up and be able to get what you think you are going to get in terms of trade compensation, have it be fair. Like, so they're thinking, okay, they didn't have a 2nd round pick. How are they going to play the 3rd round? Do they need to trade into the 2nd round? Like there's a huge gap between where Mac Jones was and the rest of the quarterbacks. And I believe it's either Trask or Davis Mills, who was like the next one off the board, but like literally went a whole round. So they land on Kellen Mond and it's like, okay, this is a project of all projects in the 3rd round. Yeah. Everyone knew that. And so it wasn't it was not a succession plan at all. And I think that, of course, the way that last season played out where he never really even had a shot to, I just think that like the old coaching staff, it's hard for rookies in Minnesota, or it was. So, but he had so much work to do for him that it was never really a threat to Kirk Cousins' job. But if they would have drafted Justin Fields, it's a completely different story. And we're talking about potentially seeing a change happen, this year and them actually trading, but they never had that option like in their back pocket for 22.
Let me ask you another Vikings versus Bears tug of war here. Obviously, we've seen a few Vikings podcasts backpedal and retract what it is. We don't do that here. Whatever we say, it's like the show's name. We keep it 100. And Ryan Poles was choosing between the Bears and the Vikings job. How close was he going to be a Viking? And have you any thoughts about Ryan Poles, the GM right now?
Mm-hmm. I think, there was a lot of unknowns with the Vikings GM search because like they're going after first time GMs with Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, who, doesn't have they're completely opposite ends of the spectrum where he's not a former scout turned top scout, being your GM effectively. And Poles is that because Poles has the football background. He was a director of college scouting before he was the EVP of player personnel. So they went there was a lot of question marks around both potential candidates. And I think with Poles, they really liked him from the standpoint of who was on the search committee from the football operations part, the people who are in there evaluating players, not necessarily like the business perspective of having that CEO type role, but somebody who's going to not be as far of a departure from what they had previously with Rick Spielman. Ryan Poles is someone I remember sitting in last summer, actually. The NFL does this, a lot of teams do this thing called the Nunn-Wooten Scholarship. It's a scouting scholarship, and they have panels, and I got invited to sit in on 2 of them. One was with a college scout, like who did the in-season college scouting process, and then one was with Ryan Poles, who was doing like I think the off-season scouting process, or it was vice versa, whatever it was. Like, but he had explained like this was when I knew his name was starting to come up for stuff. Like last summer, you like knew okay, he's probably going to be a candidate coming up this offseason. And he explained his philosophy at that time of like, I want to build through the draft. If I'm ever a GM, I'm going to do it XYZ, like, really going after the college part hard, because and that I think is what really attracted Minnesota to him, because that's how Rick Spielman built teams. But, Poles was in play for the Giants job before Joe Shayne got that. And, I think what he said at owners meetings, or what George McCaskey had kind of alluded to at owners meetings in when we got a chance to talk to him, was that in the interview process, he had a very blunt assessment, those were George's words, of the roster. And what McCaskey had said was that his assessment was right. Like that's how he viewed it too. And clearly what it is a teardown and a rebuild. And I think when you take a look at how Minnesota's offseason played out, it's very clear that they're trying that they're pinning the blame from last year and probably the year before on coaching mostly. So they want to keep that roster mostly in check. And I don't know if that would have aligned with what Ryan Poles wanted to do as far as his long-term vision and being able to, first off, he got a 5-year contract. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah has a 4-year contract. Like that extra year is a big deal. So I think that probably speaks a lot to where the Vikings were with him as far as like the direction. Like, would he have been able to go in and do what he wanted to do to build this thing his way? I'm not so sure about that. So I think, and we've had such limited interactions so far. Again, like I just started on the beat 2 months ago, and we've gotten a chance to talk with him at the combine, a little bit through free agency, at owners meetings. And I think, from people I've talked to around the league and trying to learn about, okay, what might his draft strategy be? How is he going to approach, 2 weeks from tomorrow, in 3 days of the draft? Like, he's sharp, and there's a reason that he was a candidate and highly sought after, not just for the Chicago job, but for, the Giants job he was in play for, and certainly Minnesota. Like, I think that he's built a really good reputation for himself around the league, and it seems like at this point that at least he's got the runway here from the Bears ownership group and leadership to do this thing the way that he wants to. But that's all being said right now in March, April, the off season, beginning of another rebuild. So it's like you can preach patience all you want. When does that wear thin? Like when is time up on that? Because I think that, at least just from my understanding, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, like a lot of Bears fans are kind of having PTSD to previous like press conferences where the same thing has been talked about. And the patience part and that element of it is preached pretty heavily. And then all of a sudden the fan base and the pulse of the fan base is felt within the franchise. And then time's up and it feels like, okay, a perennial rebuild because they're constantly doing this. So I would like to believe that, what's being said right now is going to be like the letter of the law that they're going to abide by as far as going through this. But it does feel like Poles has more like a longer leash here to do what he wants and really prioritizing the long-term play over like, anything that's tempting with win now type moves.
Yeah. I think to speak to your point about the fans and just being, very cognizant of what's been said, it's not even what's said. It's just the same face that we see over and over and over again every time somebody is fired. Listen, we can't sit here and change ownership, but it's the team president that is trotted out there year after year after year, and Ted Phillips, and everybody knows that his background, yes, it's with the Chicago Bears, but it's in the financial aspect of the Chicago Bears. It's not, you've heard our owner, who is George Halas's grandson of all people, say, I don't know football. And me as
I'm just a fan. I'm not a football evaluator.
How is that possible at this point? I just, that's what we're leery of. You hear your owner and it's
I hear the opposite, Shayne. That's why I was gonna jump in, but you took it too. I'm preaching to the fans, and I hope I'm raised in football. My father's a head coach. My uncle coached the Cleveland Browns. We've never met tonight, fans. So me and Courtney are meeting for the first time, as well as Shayne and Courtney. So hopefully we can establish this relationship, but we're football to the core. In my time of being a fan of the Chicago Bears, I have never heard, and it's the opposite of what the post-traumatic stress you're saying. I haven't heard a GM and a coach say these things and then follow it up by doing exactly what they're saying. Now, we haven't seen Eberflus's, practice and making guys run and holding people accountable and the hits philosophy and the loafs. But those are the things that I have been saying for the last 12 years that are missing from the Chicago Bears, whether that be the NFL or not. The Bears have been undisciplined. Their coaches have been neglectful, and they're never prepared. So at the very least, the names for Mina Kimes and company aren't there for the headlines. And wow, they're spending this. Last team that won the offseason has never won the Super Bowl. And people can argue with the Rams that they bought the Super Bowl, but that happened during the season that they made some of these moves. That being said, I'm hearing something different, and I believe every fan has the right to put their arms up, fold, and say, I'm going to wait and see it.
And I think that's probably the approach, like, not to cut you off, like that people should make, because it's April, and and again, like, I always and I think it's a good platform for me to have right now, just to be like, I don't know everything. Like, I'm just, I want to, and I know that there's people listening who are diehard fans. Like, I'm a writer who wants to hear from fans. Like, my DMs are open for a reason. If there's something that, if there's a story that you want me to investigate, if there's something that you want written,
you're gonna love us.
Right in, exactly.
I think that just that helps me be a better journalist, and it helps me is it took me a while to build my institutional knowledge of the Minnesota Vikings, and I left there very, very confident in my ability to spout off about anything with the Minnesota Vikings. It's gonna take me a little bit to get up to make sure that I'm on par with everyone else covering the Bears, but I'm confident that I can do that. But I think that the fans are the pulse, and knowing what the fan, in a market like this is not a small market. It's one of the biggest markets in the country. And that's why I think it's so powerful, your guys' voice and the fans' voice, to know, okay, what's making this fan base tick right now? What's important to people. So, I hear the concerns right now from fans who look at around the NFL and say, okay, why have the Bears not doing anything? Why have they not done enough right now? But it's also April. And I think you have to take a look at the model from where they are. When they traded Khalil Mack away, that was their stance of, we're not going to be competitive for a couple years. That's their way of cutting it down to the studs. You don't come in and trade your best pass rusher away if you don't see what 31 other teams around the league see, that you're headed for a full-on rebuild. And I know that that's probably very frustrating for fans who feel like they've been stuck in this place for a while, but I just pre-caution, because I know it's probably really tough to get caught up in, okay, they don't have a first round pick. They've got 2 seconds. Are they going to be trading back and trying to be last year's version of the Houston Texans and winners of the mid-year deal, the 1 year, $2 million deal, and guys who are on these prove it bridge contracts. And that's probably what it's going to be this year. It's why, there are a lot of offensive linemen, tackles potentially that they could go after right now that they haven't. Tyrann Mathieu still out there. Like there's expensive names, and they're staying put because they're following a plan that they see fit for right now, and they just hope that they can, see it through, because that's where the whole patience thing, like you hope patience doesn't like wear off too quickly, where all of a sudden you're making knee-jerk reactions to things that just don't make sense for what your true vision is right now. And at least as of right now, we're told that, ownership is buying into this vision, that they see the long play here, and just like how far can you get until like that wears thin and that you have to make moves. But I don't think they have to right now. I feel like
especially with the draft coming up and
the
reality of a new philosophy that is the foundation of football. Again, a lot of these names, Courtney, that are big names, are they going to buy into Eberflus's philosophy of holding them accountable, or do you have backlash? Do you create a culture, a separative, I don't want to be here because I don't want to work as hard. This whole cleanup had to happen. And I know a lot of these beat reporters were talking like, no, the players love Matt Nagy. No, they didn't, because players didn't love Bill Parcells, but they ended up loving him because he held people accountable to get the most out of them. So I'm looking at it. Everybody's talented in the NFL. And I think Bears fans, like the fan said, they have no chill. We'll use that. They need to chill here. For the first time, we're hearing a plan being followed where we're getting guys that are 6th round pick. Maybe, mom doesn't know who they are yet, a Lucas Patrick or whoever coming in here. And all of a sudden, your plan and the teaching and the fundamentals and the expectation, all of a sudden the Bears are playing way better football than anybody ever imagined, because at the baseline of football, they're hustling, they're tackling, and they're blocking. And at the very least, those stars that are on the roster, being in a team, the ultimate team sport, will rise, and all ships rise, right? With the tide, we'll see that happen. So I'm excited because, like you said, there's only a 70, maybe 60% of this roster is set. The draft is going to be a big part of this, as undrafted free agent signings. That's going to be a huge part of this football team. And don't ever sleep on those guys, ever. Anyway, that's my mini rant, Shayne. You had something.
Yeah, no, I think it's important, because I think Courtney is 100% correct. And Phil, you and I see it all the time. I mean, not that we're, Bears beat guys, but we listened. I mean, we get DMs from everybody daily, breaking all of this down. And I think what makes this different from the fans' perspective, and we try to give everybody, like Phil said, we're not just going to put things out there for clicks. We try to talk the truth, and then we try to show people, with tape analysis. I think what makes this difference is the Bears, like Courtney, you said it, they have. Did we lose her?
Did we lose her? Sure. Connection looked like it was good.
Yeah, it was getting a little
blurry.
Getting a little. Maybe if she can hear us, Courtney, maybe drop out and then pop back in.
Yeah. No. Here she is. She did it on her own.
Yep.
There she is.
My internet cut out for a minute.
Mom's internet.
It's that damn popcorn. Yeah, Wi-Fi has a problem going through paneling. I read that once on
the happy days paneling.
But what I was saying is, what's to me refreshing, and we talked about. Phil didn't want to hear it so much here, but Carr's one of the guys that's not on with us tonight. But we talked about where it absolutely made sense for the Bears to listen. You're not going to get back the same talent, but you have to clear the decks. And that's, Courtney, what you brought up, the long-term vision. This isn't about 2022, unfortunately. And with fan being short for fanatic, people don't want to hear that. But they've cleared the decks to put whatever they need to put around Justin Fields. Financially, they can go out and shop in the future. And they're, trying to get comp picks, and they're going to have a first rounder next year and stuff like that. The Bears have never done that. They've always swung and missed in the draft and then tried to cover the holes,
trade,
make a big, huge trade, and then throw gobs of money in free agency. You know, you're playing C+ talent, A+ prices, and none of that works. But to me, the biggest separator in all of this, to me, and this is strictly based on how I analyze Justin Fields on the field at Ohio State, and even the glimpses that I saw, you know, in the NFL for the Bears this year, is that he is the epicenter to all of this. And this is what we have not had. This isn't Mitchell Trubisky. This isn't Rex Grossman. This isn't Jay Cutler and the warts that came along with him. This is a different guy. It's, to me, that's the big separator. And unfortunately, we've been patient for 102 years. We just got to be patient maybe for 103 or 104.
Yeah, I think that, and to your point, I mean, he might be their most important draft pick in franchise history. When you
100% agree.
One to your point, Shayne, I actually just looked through this, oddly enough, today. They've signed since 2012, they've signed 11 players that they've drafted to second contracts.
Yeah.
That's got to be one of the lowest rates in the NFL. I know the Jaguars had 9, and that just shows you. And I know the hit rates on the draft are really, it's a difficult thing to measure. There are people who, and that's why I do treat a little caution, a little bit of caution with Ryan Poles' philosophy of I want to build through the draft. Draft capital is great, but thinking that you're going to have a 100% success rate on every draft pick is just, that's not, I'm not saying that he said that, but there are a lot of people with the college scouting background and philosophy who want to do that. Like what I covered for 5 years in Minnesota, and thinking that your 5th, 6th, 7th rounders are going to immediately have some sort of impact for you right away is just short-sighted. But if they can start righting the ship on that part, and with Justin Fields and supporting him however they can, that's where all the attention turns. And I'm curious, just from a Bears fan's perspective, this team has been known for its defense for so long. The day that they traded Khalil Mack away, they freed up financial resources for the future, but also really signified a shift that, okay, everything financially should be going around the quarterback that you're supposed to be building around from here on out, because face it, they haven't had a franchise quarterback
ever.
And that's a serious problem. You can't have a successful football team long term and not have that. And it's so hard to find that guy, which is why I think we could look back at this draft class from 2021 and it could either be, a failure, or it could be potentially the best one that they've hit on in the last decade plus. If Fields pans out, if the tackles pan out, or at least if one of them does. And to be able to build around Justin, I know that Bears fans look at this and say, okay, well, they haven't really added much offensive line help. They haven't really added too many receivers for him to, he threw 4 touchdowns to receivers last year. That's really low.
Right.
And I get the concern there, but the patience part of it, realizing this is going to be a multi-year rebuild, that you're not just going to expect, I realize what Matt Eberflus said. He wants to see the big jump from year 1 to year 2 with Justin Fields. You got to temper some of those expectations, just given what's in front of him and what's around him. But that's where I think the attention in the draft has to go. And I think you'll see that. I don't know if it'll necessarily be 2 receivers back to back in the second round, considering deep this draft is, but you can find a lot of value on day 2 and day 3 for picks that could potentially be franchise players for you down the road.
You look at the big story for me, for you to cover, is Luke Getsy. And the reason is Justin Fields and David Montgomery. Now, how Getsy brings in, obviously, Equanimeous St. Brown, who I was told by a player from the Packers that Equanimeous and Aaron Rodgers did not like each other. So if you know Aaron Rodgers, which I think you might know him, if he doesn't get along with you, he'll cut you off like his parents. So the reality of getting the football and showing the kind of skill you have isn't going to be there. So there's a diamond there that I think Getsy obviously had to be involved with Ian Cunningham saying, let's get and Ryan Poles to get him over here. So Getsy, to me, how do we help Justin Fields? We run the football. Matt Nagy couldn't figure that out ever. It was almost like you couldn't believe it was so dumb, but then he'd do something even dumber. It was just unbelievable. So when you look at this football team and you see this offensive coordinator who Mississippi State, he called plays, and then a preseason game with the Packers, how confident are you in Luke Getsy? Or is it you're just so new right now you don't know?
Well, I think that you can look at things that made the Green Bay Packers successful in the layers of their offense. And yes, you have to realize that Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback, and that changes a lot for what you're going to do and the capabilities of what you have with your skill position guys. But all that said, I mean, I think what Luke Getsy said in his introductory press conference, that this is going to be a quarterback driven offense, is the right way to approach it, where you're not trying to, fit a square peg into a round hole of these are the plays that I'm going to call.
Exactly.
And this is my scheme that I'm going to run, and I'm not going to taper it to the skill set of my quarterback. Like, I feel like that's where a lot of coaches in the NFL, and really at any level, but you see it so much in the NFL because there's never truly the melding of minds that we just think would be so easy to be like, all right, give me 15 plays that you like. I'll give you 15 plays that I like. Let's come up with a script that works for all of us. Like, it's usually and I've witnessed.
Do you want a job for?
It's so difficult. Like it makes too much sense, which is why it's so difficult. And it never typically plays out that way because ego's involved and
exactly
people are trying to coach for their jobs, and it's hard. But I think with him saying that, and the Bears realizing that everything needs to be predicated to the strengths of Justin Fields, because we just didn't get to see a whole lot of that last year, like what he was truly good at. And yeah, he can air the ball out downfield. He's got a really good arm. How can you if they're not drawing up play action for him all the time? I don't know what they're doing, because that's
curls. That's what they're doing.
That's what you have to do.
Have that
help
drop
a quarterback like him, and like you were mentioning, Phil, just with the run game, a great offense has a layer of it that
Absolutely.
is based on the run game. And I'm not trying to go all. I mean, I came from a place where the head coach only wanted to run the ball because he didn't trust the quarterback. So. It's not that. It's finding a balance. And balance doesn't mean 50-50 split. It means changing launch points for your quarterback so he's not, on his back or having to get rid of the ball in, 2 seconds, but also realizing that's the one thing I kind of the push and the pull with some of the issues that I've been researching, what happened with Fields last year. Was he sacked the highest rate of any quarterback in the NFL? Sure. Was some of that on him? 100%. You have to get rid of the ball faster. And I think that Matt Eberflus said that at the combine, that because I asked him what, as far as these Luke Getsy says quarterback driven offense, how do protections factor into that? He's like, well, Justin has to get rid of the ball faster. We want to be getting rid of the ball faster. And I'm like, I think that's, a very wise philosophy where you're not pinning all of it on your offensive line and you're not putting it all on the quarterback. It works in, it's like a symphony. Everybody kind of plays their role. And all of a sudden, when it comes together, it's a beautiful thing. That's what has to happen within this offense. And Luke Getsy's got to find that happy medium, which is hard. I'm not trying to say it's an easy thing to do, especially when there is talent deficiencies at multiple positions on the roster. But that's why they should at least feel the confidence that they have a little bit of time to figure that part out.
You're getting a lot of fan love tonight, Courtney Cronin.
Thanks, appreciate
if you're
it.
just tuning in, we're talking to new Bears beat reporter. Your mom must be so proud of you. I know that would be my dream job, just keeping it 100 with you.
Is she hitting you up for Bears insider news? His mom.
The funny thing is, she'll she still has her alarm clock in the morning, it goes off or whatever, and it's WBBM.
Yeah.
And so like whatever's going on in the Bears world, like she'll have read in the Chicago Tribune, or she'll have heard like on whatever the sports update is on BBM. And I'm like, yes, Mom, I know. Like I cover the team now. Like, yes, I'm well aware of what happened with Larry Ogunjobi. Like it's just
Has she ever done a podcast? Can we interview Mom at some
She would
point?
be incredible. I think she would really.
We got to get her
We
on.
will set that up. We'd love it.
We're going to set it up with you.
Yeah, it's a trip.
Courtney's mom. It'll be a whole segment.
Oh man.
I know. I say that in all honesty with you. I don't think you're even giving it the perspective. Like it's the Chicago Bears. I don't even think the McCaskies even comprehend the stretch and the reach. Like we have Daz is over here in Scotland and it's 2:33 in the morning and he's here to hear what you have to say about the Chicago Bears. That's the truth. There's people in Japan here watching tonight,
and
all
none of
over
us
the
are
world.
from Chicago.
Yeah.
Phil's from Connecticut. I'm in New York, and this is, what we do. It's you're
the
right.
most. I go anywhere, Courtney, and I'll wear a Bears hat just for that reason. Look, Brett is in Australia watching the show. This is the reach, and I always tell people, and I think some of the reporters get it, but your job is so important to especially in these times with COVID, taxes, gas prices going up, electric going up. The Bears are an escape. And to have someone that you've proven to me tonight, I'm a hard judge on your football acumen, but also the compassion and the empathy part. When you have that on top of articulation skills like you do, then I'm a fan. And that's what I wanted to learn about you tonight, because I hate the Vikings and I'm just being honest. I've hated them my whole life because my older brother was a Viking fan and picked on me. I don't even talk to him anymore, to be transparent here. That's how transparent I am, Courtney. So to see you talk tonight, it means a lot to me to know that you're going to be there going the extra mile like a detective to find the answers, asking the right questions. Again, they're not on trial yet, but seriously, I'm very excited about you being a part of the beat. I really am. And Dion Miller, who's a friend of our network, big time, she's already said she's taken a question from me and Shayne every week and is going to ask it in the pressers. That's how connected we are with these amazing people that are covering this team, because it's important. It really is. And I'm glad you're there. I'm sorry. Another mini rant, but I
appreciate it. I think that a job like this, there's a lot of like responsibility that comes with it. And some people are going to say, oh, it's just sports, but like it's not for a lot of people. It's their livelihood. It's what they look forward to. And I've always felt fortunate. I don't subscribe to the thought of like, oh, like I don't, it's not a job. It's like you never work a day in your life if you're doing what you love. Like I work hard. I'm tired a lot. Like I do a lot in the off season with radio. I've done like 7 straight days of shows. I'm exhausted, but like I just feel like this is such a privilege for me to like get to like be home and covering a team, like you said, that has a reach that's international. And like, I mean, some of the founding
I'm putting, not to cut you off, I'm just putting up Costa Rica, Mississippi.
Exactly, yeah.
The fans are showing you this isn't, I'm never gonna lie. And Philippines, for God's sake. I don't even know where Lares is. So there you go. But I can see that this matters to you. And you're very professional. I'm trying to continue to break into your smile and make you laugh, because that's what this show is. But I could see you have a good personality and a great football IQ, and that matters to me, because anytime anybody says I want to learn more, I sign up onto them, and we're just excited to have you here. And Claudio setting this up to help get you over here to the best Bears show on the planet. It's the fans have spoken, and to have you here tonight is really exciting. Let me ask you this, David Montgomery. We are the biggest supporters of David Montgomery in recognizing that Matt Nagy was negligent in recognizing what you just said earlier. Action game off, run the ball, action game off of it. With Justin Fields' big arm and his history at Ohio State, how much do you believe David Montgomery is going to be a part of the offense next year?
I mean, you need a running back, right? And you've got one that's right there. I mean, Tariq Cohen's not on this roster anymore. And I really did like the 18 season when he was a Pro Bowler before he got hurt, and then they gave him a big contract. Like, none of the moves made sense surrounding him. And it's just unfortunate because he's a really good player. Like, I remember the year that he came out of North Carolina A&T, and I was like, okay, good. Like, I love seeing someone from an HBCU like make it to the NFL because it's so rare. A lot of times where guys like that can actually stick on a roster, and I loved the way that he was used in 2018. And then it felt like it was a complete departure from there on out. And someone like David Montgomery, who, if you don't, I mean, you guys know his backstory, just like all the stuff that, like the hardships that he's gone through throughout his life. I mean, just seeing somebody at this part of his career now, 4 years in this season, like, I feel like he's just scratching the surface of how good he can be. And now that he is, as of right now, like, unless they draft somebody, or, I don't feel like they have the need necessarily. They have so many other glaring needs to, address that with a draft pick or anything like that. Like, he should be carrying a pretty big load offensively. I'm just really curious to see, like, how do they use him? Like, is this an offense that can, use running backs as receivers and, have guys catch passes out of the backfield? Because it does work when it's done well. Again, a lot of things have to come into play in order to throw screens. I covered a team that was horrible at screens last year, so like, I get it. And a lot of that was the offensive line. So, but yeah, I feel like, I mean, you can't have an offense in the NFL without a run game. Like, even if you are like the most prolific passing offense, known to man, you still need to be able to rely on a running back or someone having like 20 to 25 touches a game. And whether that's, a pseudo run game, whether it's screens, bubble screens, being able to catch passes out of the backfield, do a lot of things like that. You can do a lot with that position. And I think that they can continue to build there, but I mean, they've got a pretty good foundational piece right there in David Montgomery as it is.
Yeah. Cause everybody wants to trade him. And it just infuriates me to know.
I don't even think I don't even think that that's the story. I mean, I'd be more interested, Courtney, to ask you this aspect of it. I'm a huge David Montgomery fan, but I've been subscribing to the fact that I do not believe that they're going to give him a contract extension here. As good as he is, the business of extending running backs in the NFL is spotty at best.
And people have seen what has happened, like with Dalvin Cook, who is the focal point, of an offense in Minnesota, and then they start trending towards, with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. Like, you can have multiple superstars at the skill position on offense, but where are your financials locked up? And paying a running back, $15 million a year, just in today's day and age, where it's a position where guys are expected to deal with injuries and miss time. And, really the smartest teams are the ones that don't go all in for running backs, as we've seen, like, just how it plays out. And that means not giving big contract extensions, not drafting them, with a top 5 pick. And I think that's tough for some people to stomach, because like David Montgomery might be someone's favorite player, but there's ways to do it where this would be the time. They've traditionally been a team that has not done the like early extension, at least from like my understanding, where they've made you work for it and earn it. Like, whereas some teams will do the reward after year 3 type thing, especially if they view you as a franchise player. But I mean, you have to be competitive still. Like, that's kind of the argument for a different player with Robert Quinn. Like, are they going to trade him? Are they not? Like, if you don't trade him, who's rushing the passer? You have to field field a team that can like play a game. in the NFL. Like, that's really hard. Like, I get the push and the pull there and thinking, okay, his value is never going to be higher. I think he's going to be 32 this year. Like, he just came off a season where he has 18.5 sacks. You probably expect some regression there. Trade him while his value is high. I get it, but you have to field a competitive football team. Like, and it's like him, Travis Gibson, and Justin Jones. Like, that's who you're probably expecting to rush the passer next year. If you take the biggest element out, like, then what do you have? So I kind of view it a little bit of the same way. I mean, with David Montgomery, yes, running backs it's a different position. I'm not stating like one is more important than the other, but I think that there has to be the reason that if they were to trade him, are they getting something back that's going to like be part of this rebuild? Or is it just,
you're getting back a 3rd round draft pick is what you're getting. I mean,
you don't trade Robert. I've said that
pass rushers age. I think that they'll explore it. They age well.
Maybe up at the trade deadline and you see where your team is and an offer comes in from a team that feels like they're got a Super Bowl run. Then you're getting first, a 3rd, and then you can't turn down that kind of stuff. But
it's a long.
I totally agree with you, Courtney. You don't trade him away. That's basically saying, all right, we're taking all the studs out of the house and it's just going to collapse. It's just dumb. I've gone on the record and saying that I get crazy with that. But again, I get crazy a lot. I know. What are your thoughts real quick on what do you see or hear them looking at in the draft? What's your gut there?
They have a lot of needs, right? Like, so if we list them off, if this was done probably in order of importance, it would be wide receiver, offensive line, cornerback, edge rusher.
Very good.
But like, I think the thing with the draft and I've seen teams reach before and it makes sense at the time, like to fill a need, but this is a team that has a lot of needs. And yes, there are players that need to have an immediate impact next year for a team that might not win a whole ton of games if we're being like, transparent about it. But you still have to give Justin Fields the tools so you can see the signs of development to know, okay, in year 3, is he going to show this team that he is capable of being a franchise quarterback? So I think it's really a matter of, okay, if there's a position, like a player at 39 that doesn't fit one of those first 3 needs, but is the best player available, like, we'll find out. Are they going to stay true to their draft board?
Right.
Or are they going to look at it in a way where they say, okay, this is a need we have right now. We have a need at receiver. So Sky Moore's there. I think that would probably fit the best player available and fill your need argument. But what if there's an edge rusher there? What if, you can throw
what if my guy, the center from Iowa, Linderbaum, is there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You pass him up.
Inferior offensive lineman. So,
right.
Well, I think that the one interesting thing that's been thrown out there, we talked about it on here numerous times, but
I know where he's going,
is Ajabo from Michigan, a guy that was expected to go top 15, got injured and pushes down. I think that's going to be a fascinating thing to see if he's sitting on the board at 39 and just from a value perspective and his medicals are clear beyond that injury. To your point, Courtney, it's not an immediate need, and Chicago Bears Twitter will be in full-blown DEFCON 5 when they draft a defender at 39. We may have to huddle up in your mom's basement for safety, but I think that's one of the things. Like, if somebody like Ajabo dropped down to 39 and you're Ryan Poles, listen, the way that this poker game is played, you cannot go for need over and pass up a better talent, especially in a rebuild. It just makes no sense, and you won't be around very long if you're building your team like that. And that's to me what Bears fans need to realize when this draft comes up here in a couple more weeks. I totally agree with your point there.
It's hard, I think, when when fans see like a very obvious need, but the team going a different direction. And I just think that, again, it comes back to the point of, preaching patience and staying true to your draft board, because we see teams try to like force grades through or rank players based on need more so than just like looking at the overall picture here. And I think they can do a lot on day 2 and not even staying at like 39 or 48. Like if they want to trade back, it's easier to trade back from a spot like that than it would be. I mean, you'd be giving up so much to go into the first round, and there really isn't a need for it. Like if you're in, from everything that you can infer from what Ryan Poles has said about, the hand that they were dealt when they had 5 draft picks, and now they've got 6 because they got the additional one from the Chargers, and, finding creative ways to create more picks. Like I think that you can expect that they're going to look to trade back. Now, how many times into what round is it going to be? A slew of 7th rounders that we, walk away with like saying, okay, who are these people? Like, are they just camp bodies? I mean, stuff like that happens. And a lot of teams, some teams do that because they don't want to bid on guys in college free agency. And I can understand that, but we'll find out what his draft philosophy is and just how aggressive he's going to be. I think in the week leading up to the draft, if there are any trades, I mean, like you brought up Robert Quinn. I personally agree with you guys about how, wait to see August, September, potentially for a team that, wants to pull a Von Miller type move, like what the Rams and the Broncos did last year, versus like, trading him before the draft and getting picks. But, I feel like they're going to be active during the draft as far as like trying to amass more draft picks this year.
Yeah, they're going down, not up.
I believe so too. The only guy, to Shayne's point, if Ojabo's there and someone wants him, then I could see the Bears trading back, fully eyeballing the team, the players that they want. That would be smart. But if the guy like Jamison Williams is there, who had an injury, that I think you have to sprint to the podium. I know everyone's all over the board, but nobody in my lifetime, including myself, has ever predicted the first round of the draft correctly. Ever. Never. So I've never seen it happen. So everybody that, he's going in the first, Phil, I see this. I've been watching the draft since I was in 2nd grade. No joke. I've never, ever seen a draft go the way everybody thinks. Like in the beginning, maybe the top 10, I've seen it fall, but never the whole draft. And that's why I say, hold your horses. Let's see who's on the board. And we're going to find out a hell of a lot about Ryan Poles at 39, because I could see him going, we're getting our guy at 39. At 48, we're going to trade back and accrue some more picks. That's how I would do it. But I want to see how he's going to do it. That's the interesting thing. We don't know the Ryan Poles, as Courtney has said. And I think it's one of the highlight clips of this whole night is her recognizing the Vikings' new GM, who's more of a analytics observer, analyst, or however he was, versus a guy that's come up, played the game, scouted the game, the college game, and now has become, as you called it, I'm paraphrasing here, the top dog scout. Now he's on the top shelf, and we're going to see how he does this. It's going to be interesting for all of us to see the new era Chicago Bears. That's what I've been calling. I know we've had you on over an hour. I don't want to take up a lot of your time. Can we send some of these questions from the chat room from you? Okay. Her DMs are open, Bullets. So I want to make sure you understood that. Let me see. Cherie, do you got any questions from the chat? Would love to hear Courtney discuss Jonico.
Andrew Janoko, yeah, he's the Bears quarterbacks coach. He's a great dude. Gosh, he was in Minnesota longer than I was, and he's coached everything. Assistant offensive line coach, coached tight ends. Last year when Clint Kubiak got promoted to OC, Andrew took over for quarterbacks, and I think that like the knowledge that he had in managing that quarterback room with Kirk Cousins and, Sean Mannion and Kellen Mond, like, you have a veteran quarterback in Kirk Cousins who, is a polarizing figure. And obviously last year, in the way that, he had a really good season statistically for himself, but like the team wasn't able to win, more than 8 games. I think that there's a push and a pull there. And as a quarterbacks coach, you're trying to figure out, okay, well, what can I do to make this player better? In spite of like what's going on, maybe if the defense has a letdown, things like that. So, I mean, Andrew's got a wealth of knowledge, and he's a really sharp coach, young coach too. I mean, he's, has a lot of experience with the game, having played at Pitt as well. So I think it's a good move. And I also think for like, and I don't want to speak on this from necessarily like, a place of complete authority, but look at that quarterback room last year. You can't tell me that wasn't a toxic environment where you have Andy Dalton wants to be the starter. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl and thinks he should be the starter, and also has like a long tenured relationship with his former quarterbacks coach, John DeFilippo, last year. Then you've got the rookie in Justin Fields. Like, that's not a place where somebody experiences a lot of growth early on. So I think having,
this is why I love you, because
like,
Matt Nagy and everybody was saying how this is great. I go, it's great. It's the worst.
Yeah,
if he opened the competition, it would have been great.
That. Yeah,
Exactly.
and I mean, it was such a pseudo. Everybody around the league knew it. Like, that was such a pseudo competition last year going into the season, and then, like, I say all that to say about with Andrew taking over that room. I think he's a really good fit for the job. He's known Luke Getsy, and I think, being in the Division II, like, I think that stuff helps, just having the institutional knowledge of other teams and the teams that you're going to play. So it should be really excited to see kind of what he brings to the table this year.
We got this question. In all of your years covering the NFL, who is Courtney's favorite player of all time?
Oh, man. I get the question a lot, like, who's the best interview? Who are the best, people you've talked to? It's not like my favorite. I mean, I know people are going to look at this and be like, favorite player? Like, I mean, yeah, he had 1 Pro Bowl. Like, Latavius Murray, I swear to God, like, I'd run through a wall for him. He is one of the best humans I've ever encountered. One of, like, my all-time favorite, like, player to talk to in the locker room. I covered him in Oakland when the Raiders were there in 2016. It was my first season covering the NFL. And I was not a beat writer. I was I was a multimedia journalist at a newspaper called the San Jose Mercury News. And so,
of course,
like, it was my first year on an NFL beat, like, learning the team. And I wasn't in the role that I'm in now where, I was bouncing around between, like, covering the 49ers, covering Oakland, covering the Warriors. I was all over the place. So that's why I love being a beat writer, because you can sink your teeth into one team and know everyone and do your job to, like, put all the pieces together to tell the story of this ecosystem. But, like, so I say all to say, like, I just remember, like, every time we talked to Latavius in 2016, he was just, like, awesome. And I think he had a Pro Bowl that year. Like, he was so great. And so I see that off season, he signs the deal with the Vikings, ahead of when they draft Dalvin Cook. And I was like, okay, great. Good for him. That's awesome. Like, and then I find out that I'm going to Minnesota. And so now a couple months later. So I remember my first day of training camp. It was like it's not training camp, but it's that weird preseason time that, like, it was before the 3rd preseason game. And I remember walking out there because I was going to do a story on Dalvin Cook. And I was like, well, I know Latavius I wonder if he's going to remember me from Oakland from this year. And, like, so I, like, had set up an interview with PR, like, hey, can I talk to him? Like, you want to just casually mention, like, she just came from Oakland. And he was, like, so happy to see me. Like, he had seen, like, a long lost friend. And I was like, that's a real one right there, because, we had limited interactions, but he's asking me, like, how's everyone in the Bay Area? Like, asking about my former coworkers. Nice. Like, he was awesome. Players like that who take the time to get to know you as much as you know them. And, like, we're doing a job, like, they're also doing a job. Like, so it's a long-winded story, but I mean, there are a couple other players that, like, I have great relationships with who, have just been awesome to work with, but he's always going to be at the top of my list. One of my favorite people.
One last question, and then we have a few favors before we let you go. And yes, Bullets, I will ask her, we have to continue this relationship and have you back. The fans have spoke. That means a lot to us. Well, I'll save it for later. Let me give you this. HL Priest, Roquan Smith. What's his best spot, in your opinion, in the Eberflus defense?
Probably at the mic. I mean, like, I think that with Nicholas Morrow coming in, and I've talked to a scout from an NFC East team that I was just like running kind of through the gamut of like, okay, who is this guy? I know he also came from Vegas last year, like, but he was hurt. And I was just given that, like, okay, like this one scout that I was talking to, it's just one person's opinion that this one team had him as like a special teams grade. So like, I don't know if you're going to have this person come in and like necessarily like be like vying for that spot. That Roquan Smith is clearly one of your core building blocks on this defense, and it's his chance to earn a big contract. Like, I think he's your Mike. I think that the Sam position in this defense is kind of going to be obsolete just because of what it is and just where the game's going. That's not breaking news to anybody. So I think he'll be a weak side linebacker next to Roquan Smith. Nicholas Morrow will be.
Yes.
Roquan
So
Smith.
you're the opposite of a lot of people. So that's going to be interesting because a lot of people are thinking Morrow will play the mic and Roquan will move over and become that will linebacker. So it's going to be interesting. I like to hear that. I can't wait to see how this plays out. Now, that being said, you love Courtney's conviction. I like it. Someone was commenting on your clarity. There it is. Genuine clarity with every word Courtney has said. Well, she's a professional. She better bring clarity. Even in her mom's basement. What did Eminem say? Mom spaghetti? Anyway, listen, Courtney, we so appreciate you, but we got to ask you a couple of off-football questions to get to know Courtney. First question is a very important one to this network. I always ask every guest, Tupac or Biggie Smalls?
Tupac.
Uh-oh.
Damn it.
I know you're an East Coast guy. You said
Come on, Courtney.
I'm sorry.
It's
All right.
all right. You can make it up here with Shayne's question.
Yeah, iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
I
don't like the green bubbles. It gives me anxiety.
Well,
like,
there's no.
Who likes green bubbles?
That's why their logo looks like a trash can. It's no coincidence, right?
Are you a Marvel fan or a DC fan?
Neither, unfortunately. I don't have enough like skin in the game with either to claim fandom. But I'm willing. I'm open to suggestions. I never really was a comic book person growing up, so just like somebody wants to educate me on that, by all means.
We'll let you off there. We got to make it up with this question. Shayne asks.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't even know. The
Xbox or PlayStation?
Or PlayStation is usually the next one, so you're not a...
You didn't play video games, Courtney?
I mean, I played GoldenEye. I was really good at that. Ken Griffey Baseball, like 99. I'm dating myself here. We had an N64.
Oh, no, you're not. You're much younger than we are.
Don't worry. I was playing the Atari 2600, so we're good. We're good. We'll let it slide. Then, all right. Last question.
This is the tough one right here.
Wait, which one? No.
What you're going to ask her to do? She's got to get on her acting chops.
I got one acting chop. That's a favor, not a question. Last question, though. Are you watching a show that people should watch right now? Can you let people know the show? Go ahead. What are you watching?
I feel like there's a theme right now on Netflix and Hulu where fraud is apparently like a big seller for networks right now and creating shows. Because I watched the Tinder Swindler, which is wild. And then I watched Inventing Anna about Anna Delvey. Like,
yeah.
But great show. And I just finished up The Dropout last week on Hulu.
So did we. We just
look at you. You're in
unbelievable.
Step for step.
So yeah, like there. And then Bad Vegan was also on Netflix too. So again, fraud and like scheming people. that's a theme that like all of these networks, these streaming services are just like throwing at us.
Did
and
her
asking us to
voice on the Dropout when she started that transition and going with it, did it just make your skin crawl when, this is a religion? It's like, oh my God, it made me nuts.
It was, then I watched the HBO documentary where you actually hear from Elizabeth Holmes, and hearing her voice was just like, Amanda Seyfried, I believe is how you say her last name.
Unbelievable.
So good. Like, give her an Emmy for that. That was an unbelievable performance.
Yeah.
She's the girl from the Ozarks, correct?
She's a girl from Mean Girls too.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's where I first knew her from.
Now she's showing how old we are.
Yes. Well, listen, you've done it all. You've said it all. We're so excited to have you on this network, on this show, Keeping It 100. So now we got to put you on the spot to give us a station ID. And all you have to do is who you are. Obviously, Courtney Cronin, new beat reporter. You could throw down that Tupac mic there and say you're the new best beat reporter if you want. Anyway, on ESPN, and I'm keeping it 100 on the Tape Never Lies Network.
Okay,
There's
ready?
a cheat code right behind me if you forget the name of the network, because Akeem Hicks has the record of most mess ups at 11. It's not 13. We always give him 2 extra, but
excellent.
I'll count you down when you're ready. Or
Okay.
do you need me to say it again, the script?
I'm
You're
ready.
good?
I'll see if I can get it right.
I'm going to isolate on you. 3, 2, 1.
I'm Courtney Cronin, beat reporter covering the Chicago Bears for ESPN and ESPN.com. And I am keeping it 100 on the Tape Never Lies.
Oh my
Did
God.
I do okay?
One
I feel like I
take
struggled a little
Cronin.
bit. Because all of a sudden the screen went away, so I couldn't see it anymore, and I had to go off memory.
Oh, jeez. Because we isolated on you. I'm sorry. I gave you
That's
the
okay. That's
phony cheat code. Phenomenal job.
Thank you.
Guys, look at boom. Jeff, Burton. Great job. Courtney, everybody knew that you were going to do it in one take, except Alex Acevedo, who is our swag man. And he's just like, wow. So I'm going to have Claudio, if you're comfortable with it, get your Addy, your mom's basement, so we could send you a little Keeping It 100 swag.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you coming on. This is Cherie. She's one of our producers here. Tonight, she's the moderator. Cherie, you're muted. You want to unmute? There you are.
I unmuted myself. Sorry. Hi, Courtney.
Hi. You guys
I
have
really loved your insight.
Guys.
I really loved your insight. I am truly a fan. So I'll be checking you out on ESPN now.
Oh, it's very
Look at
sweet of you.
that.
Thank you.
I didn't get to ask you some questions that I had. We don't have any script, so we never write out any of these questions. I don't know if you could tell. So I do have some more the next time you come on, because being a woman in the NFL reporting on the team, that's just a teaser of what I'm going to ask you the next time. For Courtney, tell your mom thank you for
we got to
allowing
set that
us.
up. We need Courtney's
Can we
mom
get your
on
mom on the
podcast.
show next time? That would
I
be.
mean, I'll ask her. I think that she's
Does she get into
probably
the
going to know
draft?
more about the team from her WBBM morning updates at 6:30 in the morning.
Why isn't she listening to ESPN Radio?
That's what I said. Like,
Get on her,
Mom.
Courtney.
Did she get into the draft and everything?
No, not like that. But she's interested. I mean, she's definitely got now like a vested interest in knowing, the day-to-day stuff that's going to go on. With
We're
the
gonna
Bears
send.
from here.
We're gonna send 2 shirts.
Yeah,
we need mom size too. We'll get her one.
Yeah, give us off the air, obviously, your size and everything like that. I'll have Claudio reach out to you, or you could follow us on Instagram. I'm on Instagram, or the Tape Never Lies on Twitter, and we'll get to you that way. We so appreciate you guys. Her DMs are open for a reason. You heard her tonight. Fantastic interview. If you're just checking in with Courtney Cronin, the new beat reporter for ESPN. She also writes, guys. She talks authentically and also writes. I'm looking forward to it, Courtney. And really, again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I'll make sure Claudio sends you that intro so you can have the play.
Yeah, that can be Mom's new alarm.
That could be her
intro
alarm.
on TTNL.
Courtney's intro. All the best, Courtney.
Thank you guys.
so much.
I appreciate it.
Have a good
Take
one.
care.
Have a good one. Courtney Cronin. Cherie, she did a great job, right?
Yeah.
She did.
I know Cherie doesn't blow smoke, so she wouldn't even want to be on if Courtney wasn't good.
No, I liked her representing for the ladies.
Yes, but she did a great job for the ladies.
She did.
Cherie, look,
Miller.
we got a new spelling of your name too, Cherie.
I see. Hey, you know what? At least with that spelling, they may actually pronounce it right.
Yeah.
Larry the Funkster Jones.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
Larry Funkster Jones is in the house tonight. What's up? Everybody, is Lord Cars gracing us or no?
He is. He's gonna
Hold
pop in. He was dealing with some he said some sort of family. I'm assuming it was with the
kids.
The kids maybe telling him to shut up and go to bed. But there he is.
Actually plays linebacker next year besides Roquan. Gibson should be the third edge. That's probably a pretty good point, Red Hot Duck. You mentioned bringing in some of the free agents from the Colts too. Who do you think is going to play that linebacker spot?
Yeah, it'll really depend on who they want to bring in. You fuck yourself.
Tell him, Cars.
Tell him, Cars. He's not representing the league for you. Anyway, let's bring in the Lord himself.
I feel like you should make that silence like a fraction of a second longer every time you play that clip, and just at some point it's gonna be like 30 minutes of silence.
Look at all the Cars fans.
There is growing.
I put on Patreon the other day to announce his birthday, and it was at one point, I don't know, it was like 40 deep. People reaching out to Cars. He was crying when I was on the phone with him about it. Like,
I mean,
it was so beautiful.
It was emotional. It was emotional. And then he said, "I'm going to fuck your mother." So we went right back to normal and everything.
It's a shame.
Again. Yeah, thank you.
First time.
Yeah.
Are we breaking some news about Cars for next season or no? We're waiting on that.
We can.
We can?
Yeah. Cars,
Wait.
you know what I'm talking about.
What?
What?
Yeah.
What is your message to the fan base?
They should have hope. They should have hope because I've been where they are right now.
There's hope, guys. There's hope.
Yes, there's hope.
Tell
you
him,
you want more Cars?
Breaking news. The tape never lies. Network breaking news.
I'm going to break this news.
Yes. No, Stephanie Atoshin is not pregnant, but we have real breaking news.
Thank God.
Oh, no.
My God. Only Greg would fall for that. Anyway, we are breaking news here with him here. I'm excited to let you know on our Patreon channel, we're announcing a new show, and it is going to involve two guys on the airways, not including me, next season in the fall. Cars. I don't even know if we have a title of this show yet.
We
We
do.
do. We're breaking the title tonight, too.
Yes,
Look at this.
It's named after him. It's going to be called Cars Keys.
Cars
We're
Keys.
bringing that back. Yeah.
Shayne and Cars are going to sit down and break down the keys to the upcoming games every week on TTNL's All Access channel. Yes, Cool Kennedy will get to work on a dope Cars Keys Open.
It's got to have
with
pan flute.
It has to have. It has to have the pan flute, Cool Kennedy. It has to have the pan flute somehow involved.
Yeah,
in there.
Cars loves to break down stuff, analytically a little bit. He's a lot better than the guy that pauses on screen that we're just making fun of. That's for sure. But yeah, we're gonna do it's not gonna be a 3-hour extravaganza. It's gonna be anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour-long show each week. We're gonna come on, and if the Bears are playing the Patriots that week, Cars is gonna have some numbers to crunch for you, things to watch out, maybe some trends to look out for. And I'm going to host the show, and Cars is going to be the fucking superstar and bring you all of your Chicago Bears knowledge to get you prepped each week for the game.
Hopefully, Alex Acevedo could get the Shayne, the smartest man, give me some fucking names t-shirt completed, as well as the
could have worn it on
Cars.
vacation, right? Give me some fucking names.
Give them. Could we get the t-shirt out? I hate to put you on the spot here, but that's what I do. You know it's coming. Just like Jackal's hats. They've been coming since
3, I think. Yeah.
Puberty. They've been coming.
I'm looking forward to an hour of Excel spreadsheets in podcast form.
Yes.
It's going to be glorious.
That's not what you're looking forward to. You're looking forward to an hour of no Phil interruption.
You don't have me to worry about. You're going to have to put me as a drop and,
Oh, we will.
Cars. Something.
Real Quick was going to come out quite frequently, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, we're going to get a clip of Phil. We need somebody to go through every show from this past year and clip all of the Phil saying to the guest. Now, let me ask you something. Who else is he going to ask a question? You're interviewing it.
Hey, I don't even know I say these things, but
let me ask you something.
I don't try to portray anything but the true me, so I
Cars
can't even hear that.
On next week, so Phil's going to be on with Dan. Hey, Dan, let me ask you something.
Dan, let me ask you something.
I think
I don't even know that I say it, to be honest.
None of us are aware of what we're doing in the moment. It's why I can't watch myself. So I actually watch what I do. I'm like, yeah.
I need the give me some fucking names t-shirt like 2 days ago. For God's sake. Lucas, I'm going to interrupt you. I don't know why Cherie put that up there. I was skipping over that comment.
I'm surprised with everybody's names that we're not seeing a Cars Keys party, and kind of do that offshoot as well.
We do need that. And we need a Cars Keys t-shirt. The swag man, in all honesty, is on these things, and we're going to get them to the swag shop, ttnlswag.com. Get over there, Keeping It 100 tees. I promise you that I talked to Alex today that the Shayne Give Me Some Fucking Names t-shirt is in the works. I had a certain idea in my head about it, and people have dropped the ball a few times. We need a smartest man tee. But anyway, man of Cars, Lord Cars. And on the back, it should say Cars Keys. Something like that.
Or a powdered wig. I think we should get it in a powdered wig as well. Yeah.
You get the wig. You got to get the wig.
Absolutely.
Listen, tonight, I don't know if you got to see Courtney Cronin, new beard. Awesome stuff from her. Just breaking it all down and really getting to know the person. I liked what I heard. I don't blow smoke here. If I felt like I was being misled or there wasn't authenticity there, obviously ESPN isn't going to hire a non-professional, broadcaster when it comes to this position. But more than the broadcasting, I felt like we had a person that truly understands the wants and needs of the fans, as well as the understanding of how to cover a team and continue to do it better. She also let everyone know her DMs are open and she's more than willing than wanting to hear what the fans want to know. That to me, just like Deion Miller, David Kaplan, and guys that we've brought on here that we've thought are Herb Howard, that are covering the beat, that are doing it in a way that they understand the fan is the most important. That's really, it was a great stuff. Anyway, I hope all of you, if you didn't catch it, gotta go back and watch that later tonight or tomorrow or whatever. But tonight we're gonna do something, Shayne, different.
But first,
we have a first.
Yeah, Cherie's gonna get out some moisturizer and cover up all the shit
now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hold on, let me get ready for this.
God.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold
You're
on.
on the air, baby. You're on. You did it. You made it.
Let's throw curls, curls, curls.
Oh my God.
Cherie's got those curls, and so does Cars.
I'm ready now. I'm ready.
Oh,
Newest invention here is called the Cobb Quickie.
Let's do this.
Oh my God.
Cherie, what I need you to tell me is how this is the real reason Claudio didn't show up tonight. Everybody knows it. He had a little mishap, but how can we prevent something like this happening? Cherie, do you have any equipment suggestions that we could use?
Well, what Claudio should have been using is the Manscaped 4.0 lawnmower trimmer.
There it is.
Okay. But the question is, have any of you started spring cleaning yet?
Oh, yeah.
Carpets need cleaning.
Going on
drapes need
vacation. I gotta keep that
I'm
shit
moving.
tight. Cherie.
There's
Full-blown beach
boxes everywhere.
Did you get 2 rooms? Kids
Huh?
and 1 adult and up?
Yeah, we're gonna put. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. Oh,
That's a
that's.
good
I
drop.
told Hila. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Baby's 10 months old. You're damn right. She's getting her own room. All this shit's on. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Welcome to vacation mode, Shayne. Yeah.
Oh, he's ready.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
It's getting in my face here.
Shayne is smooth as silk for that South Carolina
Ask
surf.
Brag's mother. She knows. Yeah. No
Eddie
razor
Jackson
burn on
don't
her.
like that.
No razor burn on her cheeks.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh my God.
I was expecting one thing that went a way bit beyond what I was expecting.
Oh.
Oh, that's so bad.
Cars had to take off the wing. He had to take off the
That
wing.
thing is hot. Like, as a balding guy, if you add more hair on, like all of a sudden your body's like 20 degrees warmer. I can't.
You're not a real trooper.
No.
Go ahead, Cherie.
Anyway, the carpets need cleaning, the drapes need dusting, and your lawn needs mowing. Spring has sprung, and the global leaders in below the waist grooming have the best tools for cleaning aisle 5 in your pants. Time to clear out your winter bush and join the other 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code ShyCitySports.
Oh yeah.
So I know Shayne has talked about his use of the product. Phil, do you have any stories about your use with the product?
Oh, I use it all the time because I didn't pack it. So you know how you have so much to pack because you're moving, but the things that are necessary, you don't put them in a box or in a plastic. What are these things called? Storage bins. My Manscaped 4.0 is right on the sink, and I will pack that when I leave. That's how much I believe in this product, and that's not smoke. I'll take a pic if I have to.
Well, as long as it's with your
The man's
regular
of the razor.
No. Clip that one first, and we're not allowing you to correct that whatsoever. We're letting that roll.
It after. Nope.
The new people that bought Phil's old house, they're gonna walk into the bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
Cherie, get back to this
Yes,
sensuality.
sorry. Manscaped has the full package you need for spring cleaning this year. The Performance Package 4.0 is the only tool always looking and smelling like the fresh tulips your partner wants. Tulips, that's not a bad smell, I guess. To start off your spring cleaning, use the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer to get the most precise shave on your hedges. Did we mention it's waterproof as well? No need to worry about watering your grass with this tool, equipped with an LED light so you know it'll be a major asset to the new shower routine. Clear your hose and smell the spring air with the Weed Whacker. This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology, which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. After clearing your nose, make sure to get rid of that foul ball smell with the Crop Preserver and Crop Reviver.
Sour balls are a definite turnoff, right, Cherie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask a question. The Crop Preserver is an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. The Crop Reviver is a spray-on toner for your balls. Keep your boys from sticking to your leg and leave them smelling like fresh flowers. Especially, it's getting warm. We definitely don't want that musty smell down there. Finish off your grooming routine with the File 2.0, the perfect razor for the finest shave on your face. Because if you're using your Lawnmower 4.0 on your balls and your face, you're doing it wrong, boys. The start of spring also marks the start of Testicular Cancer Awareness Month in April. Manscaped has partnered with the Testicular Cancer Society to bring awareness to testicular cancer, men's health, and early cancer detection. Manscaped is committed to raising awareness for the most common form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35 and giving support for fighters, survivors, and families impacted by testicular cancer as part of their We Save Balls initiative. Smell oh so fresh and oh so clean this spring, and check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Oh, they got lyrics too.
Off plus free shipping with the code ShyCitySports at Manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code ShyCitySports at Manscaped.com. It's time to throw out your old hygiene habits and upgrade your life.
Upgrade. What in the living hell?
Yeah, if anybody checks out my Google search, I'm probably going to prison just from the show alone. But
You're like the prison guard in Suicide Squad. It's like, if he shoots me, you need to do one thing and one thing only: get in my office and delete my browser history. Let's go.
Manscaped sponsoring Keeping It 100. Use that code Shy City Sports. Get 20% off plus free shipping. I kid you guys not. The razor is great for all things, especially what Cherie's talking about, the springtime. It's starting to get humid out there. You don't want to be humid down there. Help the situation.
Not the guy from the Jersey Shore. The other situation. Let's be clear.
Your own situation.
Yes.
Right. Nobody likes brags.
Yeah,
it's true.
Very true.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the juice, baby. Yo, I feel the juice in my mouth. Yo, the juice in your ass like Florida orange, baby. Yo, pulp free. Hell no, I need the pulp. Need a whole bunch of pulp in that goddamn ass.
Yes, some pulp in that ass. Tonight, though, interviewed Courtney Cronin. Now, listen, we're going to do a mock draft on the Tape Never Lies Network with the 4 of us. Are we letting Cherie draft? No, she's saying 3. Let's start this.
So, against press, what's the hand usage?
Let it out, George. Don't hold back. Come on.
When I scout a receiver, catch, turn, and become a runner. Look at that
It's the mock
explosive.
draft, searching for the best in the top class. Draft mob, cut and tape while they talk facts. Nobody else is like this, they all trash. So tune in for the best Bears broadcast. It's the mock draft, searching for the best in the top class. Draft mob, cut and tape while they talk facts. Nobody else does it like this, they all trash. So tune in for the best Bears broadcast. Yeah, scout with no line, edge rushers and receivers, turning all the blog boys into true believers. Stats might deceive you. Draft Dr. Phil prescribing pills to follow football procedures. Shayne Marsaw scanning social media, expose the media, what's behind the veil. Bellissimo rewind the play, critique the detail. No narratives told for clicks, they selling seashells. The tape never lies, we show you proof. Them other guys try to copy, but they all spoof. TTNL crew, rally like the troops. Breaking down who we need, analyzing all the picks. Can Ryan Pose make us believe? It's the mock draft, searching for the best in the top class. Draft mob, cut and tape while they talk facts. Nobody else is like this, they all trash. So tune in for the best Bears broadcast. It's the mock draft, searching for the best in the top class. Draft mob, cut and tape while they talk facts. Nobody else does it like this, they all trash. So tune in for the best Bears broadcast.
Oh yeah, mock drafts. Everybody loves it. Shout out to our guy, Cool Kennedy, producing another hit, a funky hit. Rapping about mock drafts. Who would have thought, Shayne? We'd be at that part in our lives. Mock drafts. Tonight, though, it's on the flow. Let's do rock, paper, scissors. Who's going to go first? You guys ready? Or do you want to just select somebody?
I'm ready.
You want to do it? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, we're not timed out. Shayne will go
Middle
last.
finger, yeah. Middle finger trumps everything. I think that's the way it works.
The middle finger trumps everything. So Shayne will go first. Is
Yeah.
that your... right,
Sadly,
so Shayne-
sadly true. You can go
Shayne-
second. I'll go last. It's fine.
All right, so Shayne will get 39. I'll get 48. You know how we play the game. We do not trade. We just make the selection as it is. Do we have a block board, Shayne? Yes, we do. Hold on. There it is. No, that's not it.
It's not fitting, yeah.
I don't know why it's not fitting.
I don't know.
That's what she said.
I'm sorry.
Gotta work
Used
it
to
a little.
fit. It used to fit. What happened?
I don't know. I think Ron G, we better get him on that, right?
I don't know. We'll just leave it this way.
Yeah.
Here we go. Mock draft. We are obviously rolling with the Draft Network. Shout out to them. We're going to have a Draft
Yeah, real
Network
quick.
guest, right?
Yeah. Oh, right. But yeah, real quick, Jeff, to answer this, no, I don't think Hutchinson's going number 1.
No?
No, I do
No.
not. I think
You
Walker's
think-
going number 1.
Wow. Travon Walker.
I do. That's a 100% bulky move, and I'm not sure I'm 100% against it either.
I love Travon Walker.
Oof.
He is a physical specimen, a super talented athletic freak show when it comes to explosion and chase ability. Hey, let's see what the Draft Network's mock gives us. We only could go by that. We also want you to play along.
Yeah, I'll run it through the first 10 and we'll stop there just to see how it goes, see what's unfolding.
So who went first? Hutchinson did go first.
Yeah,
Walker went second.
He almost always goes number 1 in this Draft Network sim. I saw somebody in the chat wanting to know why we don't do trades on this. Yeah, we can do trades. We
We
week
do that
of the
closer.
draft.
Yeah.
It's just you can get crazy trades, and a lot of them are just out of hand. So
Yeah, I think we did it one year, and it was like we got 6 picks somehow in it. You're just like, that's not even realistic.
Yeah, so everything's in this goes in play to what they're kind of saying now is that Notre Dame safety Kyle Hamilton may be dropping on some boards. There's a lot of talk that he may be pushed right out of the top 10 completely. But again, wonderful football player. And it does matter, though. Teams are going to look at that, 4.7 40 time. And if you say that it doesn't matter, it is going to matter. But I'll say this right now. There's no way in hell I could draft a safety up top
number 2
in this. No,
right
Even
there.
if he ran 4.3.
The Lions did the great job with this selection here.
Yeah, I still, at some point, they've got to take a swing right at the quarterback position because they are stuck in purgatory until they do. And I feel like Walker, please don't get me wrong, Walker's a great pick, but if they're not looking to move down, do something at the QB position, it's kind of like they're forfeiting the next 2 to 3 years. You can't be the Colts, right? You have to take a swing at the bat and not just keep getting retreads all the time.
Yeah. So Garrett Wilson goes 11 to Washington. Drake London 15 to Philly. Zion Johnson goes to Philly at 18. So you're seeing some wide receivers went off a little bit there, but you're seeing some guys drop. At this point, number 20.
Can you see the Lions trading for Baker, guys?
No, I think he ends up in Pittsburgh.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? The interdivision rivalry?
I think they're one of the few teams that would actually.
You don't think it's going to be? You don't think it'll be Seattle?
No.
Yep.
Oh wow.
But
I think Detroit might be a spot to watch.
I'll tell you what, I'd rather have Baker Mayfield than Jared Goff.
If I was choosing between those two, I'd take Baker Mayfield over Goff too. I think Goff is the biggest pussy I've ever seen at quarterback. Just keeping it 100.
Yep.
But you guys always know how I feel.
Looking at this draft, though, the way that it's breaking down here, we're at number 21, and there's an interesting name still available.
Oh my God!
Jameson Williams is still.
He's probably going to go off right now.
Well, yeah.
He won't.
He'll go number 22.
Jones.
He'll go number 22 just to piss us all off, probably. But
oh boy.
Yep.
Bad enough they have my number.
Yeah. So this is the. Hey, this is the
Kenny
way
Pickett went to the Saints. There you go.
Yeah, interesting. But you see some guy, Olave, Dotson, Linderbaum is still your guy is still hanging around there. But to me, at this point, the very interesting name, I will be, and I know we preach that you never know how a draft is going to go. I will be absolutely floored, stunned, shocked if Jameson Williams is on the board at number 21.
Really?
In real life, yeah. I don't know.
That knee injury, people get scared.
Yeah, but he's working out already. So I mean, that's a
Jordan says Ritter QB1 in this draft.
Not on my book, but we'll talk about that more later. So let's run this.
Go ahead. 21. Let's go.
There he goes. I told you.
Oh, he goes 22.
Told you.
Green Bay, great. He can get ignored for a year by Aaron. That'll work wonders.
Wow, Buffalo's adding to the firepower.
Look at them taking my boy from Penn State, Jahan Dotson. There's Linderbaum going to the.
Olave at 29 would shock me that if he lasted that long.
Yeah.
Look at this fucking Chiefs getting fucking Olave.
That is the name for me that I think that you talk about Williams. I mean, Jordan put in there that he thinks that I think he's going to go high, but I think I think the Chiefs like him so much they are going to be willing to move with those 2 ones that they have. I
for
think
Jameson Williams in an injury on an injury.
Yes, I do.
Their cheater replacement, absolutely.
Yep.
Wow.
So, and I understand it, man.
We will be live covering the draft, the first round, even though we don't have a pick. We'll be there covering it live for the reaction and breakdown of.
It's not going to be like last year's
first
round, that's for sure. But I don't think anybody's going to. It was strangely enough, I was on YouTube last night and they were breaking down. Somebody had made night one draft video of the reactions of Bears fans, and TTNL kicked off the video and TTNL ended the video. Yeah, our reactions to Justin Fields.
Look at that. That's good. Whoever produced that knows where it's at.
Yeah, so let's run this up to.
There we go. And Shayne, you're going to be Ryan Poles. Me and Cars are going to be Ian Cunningham in the draft.
Now you're seeing some guys, familiar
Kenyon
faces.
Green went off the board.
Yep. Sky Moore, Treylon Burks.
She likes Sky Moore. Courtney Cronin.
Yep. She did slug that in there on this.
She slugged that in there. Exactly.
Jaquan Brisker is a guy that the Bears have been connected to. I believe they had him in for a visit.
He's a good football player.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
He really is. And somebody connected the Bears with, or who was that? Cars were talking today about Gordon. Somebody had him going to Chicago.
Oh, yeah, it was. Hold on, I've got Kuiper. Kuiper had.
Oh, is that who it was? Okay, yeah. I knew that that was popping around. All right, let's run this straight up to our pick.
It did the kid from Purdue, the Greek. He did. He went to the Cowboys.
The way that this unfolds, and this is how shit works here, and I brought this name up earlier to Courtney Cronin as an interesting possibility, but David Ajabo has fallen. Nakobe Dean is still available. Quay Walker is still available.
Wow.
Tyler Smith is 100% a name that I think that Bears fans should pay a lot of attention to on draft night.
Me and my father are going to break down Tyler Smith on TTNL Patron. X's with the O's.
Yeah.
There you go.
But Shayne, sorry.
Because I have to read.
I had to. That's why we have the glasses on, Phil. We're old now. It's okay to admit it. If we can increase the font a little bit. But if the draft really fell this way, like Nakobe Dean in a way would make sense. But I feel like if that's the top player on their board right now and it looked like this would be probably a prime position that they would trade down because,
Well, Perion Winfrey, the 3-tech, that's another kid. Is a great talent.
Yes.
Yep. So
boy McCreary, the corner.
Yeah. And I mean, the way that this board has unfolded for me, as much as I do love McCreary, I couldn't take him with who is available here myself. It's very interesting. I think if this unfolds this way on draft night, I think Cars is 100% right. I think Ryan Poles' phone is going to be ringing off the hook, and you're going to see quite a bit of movement there. And like I said, I know Bears fans don't want to see a defender picked with the way that this offseason has went, but when you're ripping things down, when you're ripping the house down to the studs, you got to build it back the right way. And that you're not building things back the right way by passing up a better player for a need. It just, Cars, I think you'll wholeheartedly agree with me there.
Yeah, and absolutely. Nothing is off the board, right? The only position I would say that you can wholeheartedly say is not on the list is quarterback. Everything else is in play. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You're going to look at the best player available because our defense took steps back last year, right? So we need to figure that out.
So what's your thought process here, Phil?
Well, obviously I'd be working the phone to try to move back and obtain another pick because I like the players that are still on the board, to your point. But if I had to pick here, the guy that I think would be the best pick, knowing I got the 48th coming back, to me, out of these players would be Nakobe Dean. I mean, that kind of football player that's that instinctive and talented. To me, I don't want to take a risk. I get what you're saying. Ajabu, I'm a huge fan of that kid. But I want to start my program with guys that are ready to play. And then you got the protection of Roquan Smith. You've made an identified guy that could play Mike and Will and Dean. And that would be my 2 cents there. I also could battle. Obviously, I like Watson a lot. I believe he's a big-time playmaker at the receiver position. So that would be the 2 guys, that Christian Watson and Nakobe Dean for me as well. Can you scroll down? I can't see everything. Who else is left here?
Winfrey is a name I think that would get a lot of looks here.
Yeah, Winfrey. I forgot that he's there as an interior, that 3 technique.
Yes.
Logan Hall is another interesting name that not a lot of people.
He could play 3 as well. Hall.
100%. That's where I would. Yeah, they have him listed as an edge here. I'm pushing him inside here all day long.
Exactly. I like that kid too. I'm not afraid to pick a defensive football player here.
You can't be. If it's the best. If it's the best player, that's the direction that you.
Let's look at the wide receivers available real quick. Over Watson, I have some other guys too.
This is their predictive board. The way that they actually have it broke down in the Draft Network's player rankings. They have David Bell as the best.
They got David Bell up top.
I do not
look at that.
With.
They've got Khalil
guy,
ahead of Alec Pierce.
I see that. So I'm comfortable with you with what I said, based on I see guys that I really like at receiver.
Yeah. Just real quick here, I saw one of the comments talking about Greg Gabriel talking about McCreary's arm. Like, yes, that's 100% the reason that he's available here, because if his arms were just a little bit longer, you wouldn't even, in my book, you wouldn't even have a shot at McCreary at 39. That's how good he is. Am I worried about his arm length? No, I'm not. Just watch him play. Watch him play. I'll give you one game. Just go watch him play versus Alabama and the talent they got. You go watch what McCreary did versus Alabama, and you tell me that his arms are too short. Oh my God.
So going through this now, me and Cars, your sidekicks here. I'm pushing Dean, Winfrey, Watson. Who was the other one? Dean, Winfrey, Watson, Nakobe Dean, Perrion Winfrey, Christian Watson are the 3 guys, my 3 choices here.
Yep.
But if I had to pick, honestly, God, this is tough.
I couldn't do a linebacker. I couldn't do a linebacker here just because I feel like it's a little with us being a nickel. I think we've got those 2 guys for now. I just couldn't see us doing that with the other areas. I would Winfrey for me or Watson.
Yeah, Winfrey or Watson then.
Those are my.
I get what you're saying, but Nakobe Dean is such a great football player. But again, that would be, you might be right. You're looking at it. I just think if you protect yourself before you wreck yourself,
well done.
You got yourself a linebacker there, and you're not worried about paying Roquan whatever astronomical contract he's going to try to get. So
That is
But
an
just
interesting
picking-
way to put it, Phil.
Yeah.
Though, like
is,
that's a
yeah.
move you make if you do go ahead and trade a Roquan Smith, hands down, right? Like
Right.
if you look to move him, absolutely. And get
Imagine
some
that
value.
they get a trade. They get this. Now they're on the phone with Seattle.
Yep.
And Seattle was going to give us one of their first round picks next year that they obtained. Imagine from Denver.
Mhm.
Then they give you their second round pick and you move down. And you're giving up Roquan Smith. You take Nakobe Dean. Excuse me. Yeah, you take Nakobe Dean here if you traded away Roquan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry. But go ahead.
right.
You make your selection. I'm next.
Yeah, and this is just the way that if I'm calling the shots,
That's what it is.
Yeah, and this is the way that I'm gonna draft every time. And I understand Carr's philosophy here, yours also. I just can't pass up great football players to take somebody that's lesser on my board. I think Nakobe Dean is a day one impact guy. Totally understand it. But again, I think you bring in a guy like Nakobe Dean, I think Phil's 100% correct. That removes you having to potentially pay $100 million contract to Roquan Smith. And you have Nakobe Dean for the next 5 years under your control while you try to reset the offense, and it gives you options. Is it the perfect scenario for the Bears on draft night? I don't think so, but I also think, to me, there's a sizable difference in the talent level here with the player. So I am drafting Nakobe Dean, number 39 overall, to be the next linebacker for your Chicago Bears.
And Twitter melts down.
And we have a trade offer to go to number 41. I know. I'm just saying
no.
Second and fifth. So yeah, we're not going to do that. But let's go to
David
pick
Bell
46.
went off the clock.
Yep. So a job. See, and that's the thing right there too.
Right after us.
Nobody could. I think Ajabo, I could 100% see that happening. That's a Seattle type move. Coral, there's a lot of teams that have Corral as the QB1. I know.
Yes.
Philadelphia is one of them. I'll tell you that right now.
I love Corral.
Yep.
Me and my father both said it. If you were a patron, you would know that.
Yeah.
Here we go. Cameron Thomas off the board from San Diego State.
Yep. So I'll run it right up here to our pick. We're getting another one, 2, 4, and 5. But yeah, we're going to decline that.
Oh, we're on the board.
So yeah, McCreary fell
now
off.
I have the two guys that I wanted.
Yeah.
Right here. Now I have to make a decision. Do I take the 3 technique?
You're drafting Isaiah Spiller, right? Because you want to replace Monty right now. So.
Hell no. Jonathan Wood probably would take 4 running backs to replace
You have
one.
to change the batteries in his calculator first. He probably doesn't even know who Spiller is.
Listen, for me now, I can't devote to the defense. I have to help this quarterback out based on where we went in the first round. So for me, can you put the receivers up? That I just want to check again on my board. So there they are. And to me, based on this, Alec Pierce and Christian Watson would be in my wheelhouse here.
Yeah, and I will say this:
transparent.
I don't think you are going to be able to sniff Alec Pierce at 71.
Yeah, I agree
or
with you.
come even close. Cars, you brought it up yesterday, and I think you're 100% correct. I think draft night, when that rolls around, I wouldn't be shocked to see him go 39th. And I think Cars brought that up, and I totally agree with him.
Yeah, I think he's definitely one of the dark horses or lead horses for the 39th pick for us. Yeah.
This past weekend, we broke down Alec Pierce with friend of the network, Matt Waldman, on Draft Mob with George, Shayne, Matt, and myself. It's must-see TV. We broke down 4 receivers. And I got to tell you, it's very difficult for me now to choose what I want in a receiver. Now this is me personally ranking my guys in order. So for me, though, I'm looking at this football team and I like what I see and I'm like what I'm in. I have to go with my rankings, and I'm going to select from Cincinnati wide receiver Alec Pierce over Christian Watson, because I like Alec Pierce's whole game. Yes. And I believe he plays above the rim. He blocks. He runs the route tree. He does all the things that I want to see a receiver do. And I believe he is going, to Shayne's point, I could take him at 39 and be happy.
Honestly, on draft night, if I'm wrong, I'll admit it on air, but I feel like that's where you're going to.
If he's a Packer fan, I mean, Jesus Christ, factor one. He's going to play hard versus the Packers. He's going to fucking go out there and be a competitor, because that's the integrity that his parents and he plays with each and every down. I'm sure he wasn't a fan of Cincinnati Bearcats growing up as a kid.
I love the way that he has subtle movements to get open, right? Like he's got the speed, but he has these little things that are just chef's kiss perfect when he does them.
Yeah.
Great. Jordy Nelson was my comp to him. Cars. If CB fans was still under your fucking direction, we could go back to that draft. And I love this guy out of Kansas State. And I'm like, this is a first-round motherfucking receiver. Shut the fuck up, John, whatever the fuck, Bauman. What was his name?
There's a lot
go
of
cheer
them.
for the Raiders.
Yeah,
Do that. He is a first-round pick. Anyway,
listen, he's got a ceiling that people are just not going to realize, right? He has all the measurables that you want, but he puts it on
4.33, 40
Yeah.
and a half inch vert. Shayne, you said what? He could jump and grab dollar bills off the backboard
And leave change. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even hear that part. And leave change.
Yeah.
I get it. Like,
fight for my guy. That's what my
DJ Prop
analysis
is questioning my viability because I drafted a line. Listen, this isn't about drafting fucking need and who you like. I could give 2 fucks who DJ Profit likes in the draft. I'm doing it the way that I'm drafting the best fucking player no matter what. And that's the way you should do it.
And the reason why is the cupboard is bare. Like, we might not want to admit it, and as Bears fans, sometimes it's hard to say, but the cupboard is bare. Like, I would ideally, in a perfect world scenario, you're adding offensive linemen and wide receivers. But the defense is old in really key positions. Like, we have, if you take off your Kool-Aid and stop drinking it for a while, like, we've got 4 guys that you could probably really build around. Maybe it's 6 that you can really consider. Everything else, one of those guys would make 0 difference if they were on the team next year or not. 0 difference. And that's where we are.
I drafted a guy that I have in my top 5 at receiver. I went by my board. Alec Pierce, last thing, Shayne, and then we can move forward.
I don't know real quick, Jordan, what are you talking about? I'm talking about positional value with Hamilton. I
don't know who Hamilton is.
Talking about the Notre Dame.
Oh, the safety.
The safety.
Because I don't think he's the fucking second best player in the fucking draft, Jordan. What the fuck, man? That's not that hard to figure out.
It's not positional value is top 10 versus 39 is night and day.
You don't take a fucking safety top fucking 2 picks in the draft.
Jamal Adams with that.
Exactly. We went through this when we were with the other fucking network, and they were
Malik
the
Hooker.
leaders there were
take guards high,
banging the fucking board safety for a strong safety at fucking number 3 overall in 2017. Imagine the fucking logistics of that.
Do you remember we were having that, and it was the Malik Hooker portion as well, right? Because he was such a turnover machine, and we thought that was completely going to translate. Like, safeties have minimal impact overall for the most part in the game.
Jordan.
Agree.
You got to learn math, Jordan. If you want to debate me, I have zero problem with that, but you got to learn fucking math. So number 2 or number 3 overall is a massive fucking difference when you're drafting number 39. And if I can draft a top 20 player that I have ranked at number 39, fuck yeah. It's you're not fucking pushing me in a corner and saying, "Oh, let's be consistent here." No, you're
like Jordan a lot. But
I do too, but it doesn't make any fucking sense when you're.
I'm just saying, I'm
positional value
you here.
It doesn't come into play at 39, and then you're comparing it to a top 5 pick.
Well,
you don't draft
the Lions didn't even take
5.
Somebody took him at 8. Go back to the top of the draft.
No, but I think there's been up until
Shayne has said, we all have said, you don't fucking take a safety in the top 2.
No.
Now, if this safety ran a 4,
I hope Detroit does. I hope Detroit takes him number 2. I do.
So does Gary Williams.
Yeah.
He hopes there's a. But listen, Alec Pierce, who I did take, is somebody that I believe is going to be the kind of football player that we have needed for a long, long time. And that's somebody that's going to play, scratch, and fight his way for Justin Fields in the manner with which Darnell Mooney does, who's slight, lean, and plays with that kind of aggression. It'll be a perfect mirror with Mooney, Pierce, and Pringle. That, to me, are 3 guys that go all out, where Allen Robinson is sitting there walking the dog through the fucking park when David Montgomery's running an outside zone and has to cut it back to his side. He's holding his fucking chin strap, walking around. That isn't going to happen under this team. And somebody like Alec Pierce, if you watch his tape, not only is he great high pointing, running routes, showing you amazing foot speed and stem footwork, but the thing that jumps out the most to me is Alec Pierce takes pride in knocking people to the fucking ground. And that, to me, is going to be a staple of this Chicago Bears team. So that's why
Jordan, don't take it personal, dude. You're not interrupting any stream. The back and forth is important. That's what we do. There's nothing personal here.
Bullets was to take Kwity Paye again. We'd fucking be yelling at his ass.
It's positional value comes into play way more when you're in the top fucking 10, way more when you're in the top 3. We talked about it the night that Jesus, I'm blanking on the strong safety's name.
Jamal Adams.
Yeah, Jamal Adams. Everybody was pounding, he's a bear. And it's, listen, the position that the Bears were in that night, you were up top for a reason. You have to swing the fucking bat at quarterback if there's guys there. And there was more than enough quarterbacks there. And we went over that a million fucking times. I get the point that off the ball linebackers aren't holding a ton of value. You show me a fucking team that would look at Nakobe Dean in this fucking draft at number 39. Maybe he drops down, but in terms of positional value, 39 versus number 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 overall, it's massive difference. But so I
totally agree. Yes, George. I have to give George his love.
Yes.
This Demir Bird blocking is exactly. God bless Demir. At least he tried. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Cars is up on the clock as we approach the 71st pick. Chad Muma.
Can't wait to
Fucking
draft an
Packers are
Iowa
taking a
State
bunch of
running
guys.
back.
Packers are taking
But
a
you
bunch
got
of guys.
Cars is going to have some options here for sure, though. Mechie goes to San Francisco. Muma goes to Green Bay. Asamoah is a guy that the Bears have been connected to. Linebacker. Jordan's going to be pissed about that. But now Jacksonville's on the clock at number 70.
Falalea.
Trey McBride goes
That
off.
would have been one of the guys I think they would have hardly really considered.
Trey McBride.
Wow.
I loved him out of William and Mary. Now I got to like this guy to Colorado State. Here we go. Cars, you're on the clock now. What are you looking at? What positions are in your brain?
I mean, it's still, I still think you're looking interior offensive line. Had Trey McBride been there, I think he would have been a consideration.
I love it
for them. And I still think you're looking at wide receiver, right? I think those are big. Isn't really a whole lot there.
There's your boy Tolbert still hanging around their Cars.
Jalen Tolbert. Look at Shakir, that kid.
That was another name. So those two are the names that I'm most looking at. Can we look at interior offensive line as well?
I gotta see those guys because we've been breaking
Ed
them
Ingram.
down. Oh, Ed Ingram there. Ed Ingram.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one to surpass. And then I don't think there's anybody left on the edge, is there?
There's Lasitas. They got Lasitas way low.
Yeah, I agree.
Way low. I think Lasitas is definitely a third, fourth round pick. I don't know what they're seeing.
Corners.
Yeah, see, corner falls off the map super fast.
Yep.
Right? Like once you get past kind of McCreary and a few of the others, like it goes from this is good.
Zion McCollum is a good looking prospect out of Sam Houston. We're gonna break him down. Lafetus.
Cars, are you interested at all to blow?
Oh, Brian Robinson, Kenneth Walker the
Brees
third.
Hall still out there?
Brees Hall.
I made a joke. No, because I think neither of those two are really going to be major differences from the Monty Herbert kind of mix. So no, I don't think either of
Brees
those
does have some fucking game-breaking speed.
Yes,
Brees
he
does.
Yeah,
that's the one thing he could.
Yeah,
do
I mean,
for
if you are
Iowa
pushing me into
State
if you're pushing me into the corner and saying I got to take a running back here, I mean, Jesus. Brees
I like give him this. Let me see the centers for Cars.
Well, it's
they just
it's all interior. I think for me, it's really a combination of I'm looking at Ingram
Cole
or I'm looking at Colbert are the
Cole
two.
Strange is a very good prospect here too.
Yep.
Lasitas Smith, Cole Strange. Can you go back to the line real quick? I'm sorry.
What do you want?
Interior offensive line again.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I just wanted
Ingram and Strange. Kennard is another interesting name. I know some people are.
Yeah, Kennard from Kentucky.
Yeah,
that kid's a fucking tough son of a bitch. He's gonna check the prick box.
Oh yeah.
So, and I love Lasitas Smith, Lafetus. I think he's obviously he's not ranked appropriately. He's much better than Juergens, Fortner, West, and Robinson.
Are you interested in
Pettit Frere?
Ferrer doesn't do anything for me at all.
That was Bullett's number one pick. What are you talking about?
Bullets, and I know George is high on him too.
George and Bullets.
Yep.
Yeah, so for me, I'm honest. If I'm looking at this, it's coming down between probably Ingram or Tolbert. That's really the two for me. I guess I could probably be talked into Kennard a little bit, but those are older guys. For me, like it's my fandom. I keep looking at this of like guys that could make an impact right away. I think Ingram could easily start next year, but in my heart, I feel like Jalen Tolbert is another piece that they would love to add to just kind of be that 4 wide receiver deep like Kansas City has been all those years. So that's Jalen Tolbert is really where I'm looking at.
That's your turn.
That's my pick. That's my pick.
All right.
Cars and Nomad going together here with Shayne. I would have taken Ed Ingram here and the interior offensive line, or Lacita Smith. Those are the two guys, and I don't care where they rank them. I really believe in the power.
Does it bother you at all that he's an older prospect, Cars? Does that play into it at all for you?
For Ingram? Or for
Tolbert.
Ingram is too, though. Ingram, I think, will be 24 at some part next year as well. No, it really doesn't. I think, again, I kind of called it about Pierce. The two guys who are best with subtle moves and doing little things to get open are Pierce and Tolbert. And I think kind of taking 2 swings at it makes a lot of sense for me.
I like it. I can't argue with it. Big time receiver. Another big guy.
All right, so guys that we talked about seem to be falling off the board exactly after our picks. Guys that we've brought up, Carson Strong, quarterback, goes to Atlanta.
Chennel would have been a play had we not done Nakobe earlier as well.
Exactly. I love him.
He puts on some great tape, yeah.
Oh my God, I love this dude.
All right, we'll run this.
There's
up.
guys that I really love in this draft still on the board.
All right.
Troy Anderson just went off.
Yeah,
but
Marcus,
again, we couldn't take another.
Marcus Jones is an interesting corner. Just went to Buffalo. I've been impressed with what they've done this offseason.
I love Nicholas Morrow, DJ. Yeah. I really do. I think he's going to be the Mike. I think Roquan is going to play the Will. I could be wrong. Courtney could be right. There goes Ingram to the Dolphins.
Cole Strange went very
Cole
next
Strange. Both of them went off the board.
Troy Anderson's another fucking animal.
We couldn't take him there because we have like 5 linebackers now.
Shakir goes to Baltimore. Rucker is another guy that I'm higher on Rucker than a lot of people are.
I like Rucker.
I'm a big fan. Matt Waldman kind of shit all over him on the show the other day, but I'm still a big fan. So we'll resume this. Let's get up into the 130. We'll run it there and then take a look.
Gotta shout out my boy Julio. He's tuning in tonight, Shayne. He's a part of the moving company.
Oh, nice.
That.
What's up, Julio?
Yeah. Julio. Connecticut Movers.
All right. Who else we got? Brian Robinson falling off the board to Miami. Back-to-back Bama players. Josh Jobe, I am not a fan of. Cars knows my story with that. Jelani Woods is an interesting pick. Very interesting in Green Bay.
Oh, he's an athlete.
Yep, big time.
That is an athlete at tight end. Fucking Packers are stocking up on guys I like.
What I love about that is they don't, Aaron Rodgers does not like the tight end and he doesn't like rookie wideouts. So it makes sense for them to load up on those positions so that he can throw the ball to Alan Lazard 40 times a game. So that'll work out wonderful.
All right. So we'll stop it here. Cam Jurgens goes. I mean, Phil, you guys broke down Jurgens. He's a guy that I think I took in with one of our 5th rounders in one of our drafts. Totally agree with your assessment. There's things there to like, and then the very next snap, you'll be like, what the fuck is going on? But that's sometimes what you're going to get with some of these guys in the, especially down in this area in the, almost in 150. But is anybody surprised that there's been no offensive line help as of yet? And this is one thing that I think gets overlooked is everybody keeps on smashing the offensive linemen into Chicago and doubling up, and maybe that's a fucking tip of the cap to Tevin Jenkins. Maybe it's a tip of the cap to Larry Borum.
Right.
End of the day. So I just listen. These guys are breaking down these guys. They know all the ins and outs at this point of them. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they are high on these guys, especially at the offensive tackle, or maybe they consider Borum being pushed inside. Who knows? Maybe they considered Jenkins being pushed inside. I myself wouldn't agree with it, but I'm just saying I think everything is in play here. So all right, the Bears.
Shayne, sorry, just real quick, but if there's been other mocks where Kenyon Strong, right, to 39, like that, in that scenario, I don't care who else is on the board. That's the Bears pick, right? So if there's a run on wideouts, I think that draft kind of plays a little different. But yeah, I think we can't have shit all over Nagy for terrible play calling and horrible execution and then not expect it to at least get better this year, right? So there's some improvement that could still happen internally.
Yeah. So, all right, we are back up here at 148.
I see the punter. I'm in. I'm done.
He's
done.
He's number one. Oh, no. There it is. Damone Clark.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there's a popular name here for me. Somebody that Phil always butchers his name. That's a guy that I would definitely be interested in here. And I mean, I could go back and I know people would probably be shocked because we just drafted two of them, but I'm not against going back to the wide receiver.
No,
another time with a guy that's got top end traits. You saw a guy that they brought in Tolbert as over the last couple of days. You want to talk about potentially maybe the fastest, most explosive guy overall in the entire draft out of Baylor.
Taekwon,
yeah.
He would totally be in play for that burner.
Yeah, and
totally.
this is one thing to remember here. The Bears have pick 148 and 150. I believe the one pick is from the Anthony Miller deal, I believe, with Houston that we traded. Wasn't it a Miller and a 7th for a 5th rounder that we got from Houston? I believe
that's right.
Yeah,
That's
I believe that
question
was it.
by Chris Brown. I absolutely believe they are, because they want to see who is fucking up to par and what they're going to build. So they want to make sure that these guys, everybody should be playing hard in games. When you see loafing, that's the disappointment when in the game. But how do you practice? They're going to look at both of those.
And I think with how bad the game plans were, practice, and especially like the joint practices with the Dolphins, those have gotten a tremendous amount of view from them.
Yeah. So yeah, I think offensive line is a clear look here. Lasitas is a guy that to me is obviously standing out. Phil, I know your thoughts.
I would take him right here if I was you.
No, I totally understand it. Monteric Brown is an interesting corner. Not sure if he's the perfect fit for what they're looking at overall, but he's still very interesting name. The safety is probably nothing that I'm getting into here at this point.
We have not released our 50 boards yet. We will.
I released mine after the draft, Kane, just so you know. I'll release it right after the minute the second round is done.
So yeah, I'm gonna keep it pretty easy here, and we've added some offensive firepower to this team with the last 2 picks. We drafted, I think, a top 20 talent overall in the draft in Nakobe Dean at number 39 overall. But now, to me, I think it's time to get some protection here on the offensive line, on the interior for Justin Fields. And that is why Lacetus, don't call me Lafetus Smith is coming to Chicago. And guess what? The Bears are back up
on the clock for my pick. So here you are again. I need to look at the interior offensive line quick. That was a great pick. That's who I would have taken as well.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest. Yeah, my guy's not there, so he must have been picked. Can I see the defensive tackle market?
Yes, sir.
So I'm looking to see if my other boy is still on the board.
I believe he is, because I think I know where you are going with that. Just let me throw this back up here, this banner.
There you go.
And I will get over here to defensive line, and I see a guy sitting there that I know that you love.
So I do love me some Thomas Booker out of Stanford. So he right now is in the conversation to play that 3 technique. There's something very, very much so that I like about Booker a lot. Obviously, I know Lacetus Smith's partner, Brock Hoffman, who was a guest on the show here, is still out there too. And I like Brock a lot. I like Brock, for the record, more so than Juergens. And a lot of people don't agree with me there, but I like Brock a lot. But I look at this draft. Let me see the running backs and then receivers. This is running back Rashad White there. Pierre Strong.
Yeah.
Tyler Goodson's underrated running back out of Iowa.
Yeah, this is another guy that I know Waldman has talked on. Keontae Ingram is a guy, a late round guy that I'm 100% on board with him. A guy that I think is very interesting.
Haskins from Michigan is underrated. He doesn't get a lot of props. Wide receivers. Do we take another one?
I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. There's another guy that the Bears have brought in.
Anything wrong with that?
Jalen Naylor. But I mean, Phil, when you're talking to pick 150, and you're not going to find. Listen, this is where the Bears got Darnell Mooney, and you're talking about an explosive wide receiver.
Yes. But one of my favorite receivers in the draft is still on the board here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at this, and you took the offensive lineman. I'm struggling now. Here is my true story. Booker is in the equation here, Cars.
Yep.
My fucking guy, Romeo Doubs, is in the equation now.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Ross is in the equation now.
And I think he is asterisked, bolded, like that is a home run strikeout move at this point, right? Like Justin probably has the most home run potential of everybody at this point.
So my interview is so important. The other guy, before I get into my interview, with Justin Ross, how does his medicals come across? How does he come across? That is the part I don't have in this.
Yep.
So I don't know. But Kobe Bryant, I love, out of Cincinnati. So he would be in the conversation too. So Booker, Bryant, the 2 receivers. I'm going to go with my guy. And I'm going to go with Romeo Doubs out of Nevada. Doubs is just somebody I just absolutely am infatuated. I love the way he plays the game of football. And I don't think you're going wrong there with helping Justin Fields out with a guy that plays with this kind of heart and determination and catch his hands. As Shayne said, he's got Marty Booker mitts. 10-inch hands, great jumping ability. There you go. I got you another receiver. and I'm changing the whole dynamic. I got two of my favorite receivers. I picked them, and then Cars picked his favorite receiver. And we got Lasitas.
Do you see who's still available at 186 Cars at the top of the wide receiver board?
I mean, yeah.
Justin Ross. Imagine.
But I mean, again, absolutely.
It all goes down to that interview and medical with him.
Yeah.
Oh,
but I think at this point in the 6th round, I think we could take a shot.
It's another interesting Darian Lowe, the offensive tackle. That's a guy that's been getting some love. I don't think he'll even be available at this point on draft weekend. But the offensive tackle from Illinois, there's quite a bit of upside there and untapped potential. But yeah, no, I mean, we're open for business, Cars. What are your thoughts here? Could you be talked into a Matt Waldman special, Skylar Thompson at quarterback to bring in another young buck?
Can you
add into the system?
Is Booker still on the board here?
Doesn't
Stanford.
look like it.
Oh, he went to San Francisco.
Yeah.
He totally fucking goes to San Francisco and fucking has 7 sacks. Of course he would.
So, I mean, quarterback actually is a position at this point because, right, we've always talked about you look later in the rounds and do a kind of a developmental guy to come along. It would make sense.
Especially if they don't want him to hit that UDFA where he's undrafted and now you're, competing.
Yeah,
because
that happened.
Get your guy.
That happened to the Bears a couple of years ago. They were actually going to.
The guy who went to Dallas.
Dallas, right? Yeah. He ended up telling Dallas at Chicago that he was going to go to Chicago as a UDFA, and Dallas said, fuck it. And they drafted him in round 6.
Who was that kid?
I'm blanking on the kid. It was just like 2 years ago in the draft.
I'm looking. Hold on.
He actually played.
Yeah.
He got the guy got when he got injured. He did play for a game. Danucci.
Yeah. Hey, what are you talking about? Danucci.
Yeah.
You know Danucci?
But at this point, as much as I hate making a run on wide receivers, Justin Ross, it's not even close as to like star potential of anybody at this point.
He must have been at the top of your fucking class.
Yeah, he must have been.
Well, but the thing about it is, I mean, I think where Cars is right is
take another receiver.
Well, you
Let
have
the competition.
Darnell.
Begin.
You have Darnell Mooney. You have Pringle on a 1-year deal. I believe did he do 2?
He's a 1-year. I thought
he did 2. Double check. I think he did 2.
Equinemius St. Brown is on a 1-year. Daz Newsome has to learn how to take practice seriously.
1 year, $6 million for Byron Pringle.
Yeah,
there you go.
So
wait a second, you guys might be on to something here.
But I mean, it's wide open after Mooney. I mean, I think we all like Pringle. I think we like Equinemius St. Brown. But again, there's this wide receiver room is wide open beyond Pringle and Mooney up top. I would throw St. Brown in there because I think that's a guy
if we get Dubs, Ross, and Pierce, and Cars' boy. Oh my God, you're talking about a whole combination.
And look,
I don't think it would happen, but based on this,
without trades, Listen, no, George, you're right. We wouldn't probably do 4 wide receivers in a draft, right? If the board fell the way that it did, we would move around. But
guy, this is the fucking mock draft. I mean, it's people take this shit so. God, you guys are fucking idiots. Listen, we could sit up here and there was a point where I almost didn't draft Nakobe Dean just because to be different, and it's fallen that way, and we did it before. But I know the way that I am, and I'm going to stick to my guns, and I'm going to take BPA.
Then let me do what I hired to do.
Good job, Shayne.
And the three of us do the weirdest things, right? Like the three of us rarely agree.
Jordan, quit putting fucking words in my mouth, bro. I brought it up as a fucking option. I didn't say that I wanted him. This is what I feel like there's these people that are new to our show that come in and try to, like Jordan pointed out one of my tweets tonight on Twitter and saying that he thought it was foolish that I was banging on Mike Florio, saying that it was embarrassingly bad because Florio was saying that to him it's potentially that the Bears don't believe in Justin Fields. That's why they've handled their offseason this way. I said that's embarrassingly bad. I didn't say I wanted a Jabo, Jordan. I brought it up as a potential option, saying that it would be interesting at 39. I love the back and forth, but don't make shit up that was not said on here. That's where I do take fucking onus with that. I don't like that shit. I'd never fucking said that I wanted a Jabo. So
he's an interesting prospect at that point, but yes.
Yeah, it's something that's 100% going to be talked about.
Oh, yeah.
In draft rooms everywhere.
Algieri.
I mean, look what happened with with Harold Landry in that year, right? Like he went into that season as a top 10
on my list. Yeah.
As a top 10 pick. The performance and things dipped. There were some injury concerns, if I remember correctly, and frame concerns. And it took 3 years for that guy to come around and finally be it. But what kind of deal did he sign? I mean, it's
plus just from perspective on this mock, the three of us are picking.
It's not one of us.
I've told you exactly. It's not one of us. So I would have taken Ed Ingram. Where Cars took his receiver. So it would change things up. All of us, that's the exercise of this one is snaking, is going through the orders. Next week I'll do my own. And you could yell at me for my selections.
I'll be in Miami, so I will criticize you.
I'll be with Cherie. It would just be me and Cherie.
Cherie's gonna pick.
Cherie's gonna help me pick.
So, Cars, is it Justin Ross?
Yeah. At this point, if it felt like that,
it is Justin Ross, the rebuilt. I'm gonna call this the Mina Kimes draft. Now she's got plenty of names for Justin Fields, and it would also be the what's his name again, Florio draft, because this is showing that the team is building and believing around Justin Fields because they're getting a ton of wide receivers.
So I take the counterpoint to Florio, though. I think what they've done this offseason shows that they believe in him because they're shedding the contracts. They're moving the pieces to get more picks because they want to build around him. Like that is the way I look. Like, they're trying to build this team up quicker, and they're trying to skim a year off the rebuild.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I actually love this draft, to be perfectly honest, only because I feel like you are completely, obviously, I believe in Dieter Eisland as a guard. I believe in Tevin Jenkins as your left tackle. I believe in Larry Borum as a tackle. I believe Lucas Patrick is your center.
Absolutely.
I believe that the bell and the spotlight is on Cody Whitehair in his off-season workout regimen. If he comes in fat as flapjacks, then his ass is fucking gone. Because the head coach is saying, get your track shoes on. So to get those picks, Lacita Smith is one of my favorite players in this draft. We have to do that. Talk about we got three of my favorite players in this draft. In Alec Pierce, Lacita Smith, and Romeo Dubs. That to me, I would be incredibly happy. I probably would have taken Ed Ingram and Lacita Smith. And there's your two offensive guards in there. But again, Shayne makes both Cars and Shayne always make great points, but you made another one tonight. We don't know how they view the talent that's on the offensive line. Like this kid, Tyrone Wheatley Jr., is on this football team. And I'm just saying, when I saw him play in preseason, there was a lot of things I liked. Now, Tyrone Wheatley Jr., son of Tyrone Wheatley, former running back for the Giants' first-round pick, has an opportunity to bust his ass.
Right.
So Tommy Do-Good fucker who loves the Bears, has no idea who that is, would be like, where did Wheatley Jr. come from? That's up to these players. Walter Payton said it. It's not about being great out there. It's about being great when no one's looking. How are you? That's the time where you're going to be great. That's where you improve. So there's my little rant. Dieter Eisland and
he's got some chances now, right? With a new staff. Yeah.
With a new staff. What's the other kid from Pigs Simmons?
I don't know that Hambright's gone, right? So
yeah, he's in New England.
Hambright got cut, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he signed a futures deal in New England in January. Yep.
So there you go. That's the kind of stuff that we talk about this stuff. We come from the heart. I still like you, Jared. I don't care what Shayne says. Jordan.
I like Jordan too, but I didn't fucking say that. I didn't say that. I fucking hate that when people say that. Yeah, but that's the thing. And I mean, you're talking about am I pissed off that the Bears didn't give DJ Chark $10 million for 1 year? I'm not.
I want no part of that.
I like
DJ Chark's career. How many receptions did he have?
But if you watch him and watch how he has that game where you're like, there it is, he's going. This that's his breakthrough game. And then you look through and you're like, all right, what just happened? What just happened?
Point here by Tony.
29
every year.
He has a 1,000-yard season. He has not really done. He got injured in 2020 and he only played 4 games last year.
Yeah. So
I can't say Red Hat Duck as good as my boy Adam Rank can. But
Red Hot Duck, yes.
Yes. But you got a good point. 26 already. Pace drafted him. He saw potential. He passed on one of my favorites at that time, but that's a whole nother story.
We were just happy that he drafted an offensive lineman. Let's be real. Because he loved to we need to get offensive lineman and quarterback, and then never.
What was the big offensive tackle? Fubulije.
Teo
Fabulije. Yeah.
Fabulije. Where is he? We'll see.
Not here.
So there was the draft, the mock draft that you guys all know and love. We did it tonight. We did it live again.
Right.
Leave your fucking opinions in there. I don't care. I'm glad you do. But again, it doesn't matter. It's just having a lot of fun. These are all educated guesses.
Right. And speaking of that, Phil, and it's true too, is you're talking about to go back to the 1 year prove it deals. Everybody just assumes that if a player doesn't sign in Chicago, that, oh, fuck, Ryan Poles didn't even fucking offer him. Listen, unrestricted free agency means that it's that fucking guy can go wherever the fuck he wants to go.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears could have offered DJ Chark $10 million for 1 year. And he said, I want to play in Detroit. Not everybody. It's funny, but I'm telling you, not everybody. Give me some fucking name. Not everybody wants to just say, oh, I'm going to take a fantastic deal in Chicago because, Bears fans love names there. Not everybody wants to play here. That's part of being an unrestricted free agent. Did DJ Chark want to come here? Probably, if the Bears overpaid him an exorbitant amount. But
if they pulled a Jaguars move, yeah.
If you want to put money on the fucking table and say who has a better year this year between DJ Chark and Byron Pringle, I'd be interested in talking about that.
And there are moves to be made, and there are things that I'm sure there are moves, to Shayne's point, that they wanted to make, right? But they weren't, even for 1 year deal or whatever, they weren't going to go out and overset the market. They weren't going to go out and overpay for anybody because they did not want any dollar. Remember that they don't spend this year rolls over to that cap next year.
Yep.
So they're going to wait and find what they've got this year and take that extra money, roll it over to the next, and you're going to probably see them be way more aggressive next year.
100%.
And that's where it's going to play off. But this year, last year, the worst thing about last year was it is a wasted year. We didn't really learn a lot about Justin because they didn't give him enough. We didn't learn enough about Tevin Jenkins. We didn't learn enough about Larry Borum because they decided to make a Fetty a captain because we were playing the fucking Seahawks, right? Like, we have all this wasted time that the sad part is we have to go to practice to watch these guys. So now they're taking a wait and see approach to figure out what they've got, to know what are their places that they can change some of those pencil starters to Sharpie starters.
So the beautiful thing about the NFL is what you see on tape usually is a reflection of the person behind it.
There it is. The team is a reflection of the coach. We are going to do it. Grade our drafts. Let us know in the chat or the YouTube comments. I'll be interested in seeing those.
Oh boy,
be a lot of fun.
Those won't be a fucking disaster.
That'll be a lot of fun.
They'll be fine. Get somebody's ass today.
Exactly, Cars. That's exactly what they'll do.
Anybody that disagrees with us, I'm just going to call your mother a cunt right now. Get it out.
There it is. I was about to say, Shayne likes you if he yells at you and then doesn't say he banged your mom afterwards.
That's right.
That's a big line in the sand.
Listen, this weekend is Easter weekend. The tape never lies. Will be putting you on notice. Obviously, there'll be no shows on Sunday. We probably will be going. I'm moving, and in the whole process of house moving and picking up kids, dogs, pets, couches.
I'll be the guy
Julio's helping out in the chat.
I'll be the guy sound asleep on the beach with a
nice
fruity umbrella, drink, not paying attention to my kids and sleeping.
So just pay attention. I know we're going to do something this weekend, breaking down some film of some prospects. If anything, I will go live and do my own mock draft on the patron side to just keep the best possible analysis of the Chicago Bears going. My father and I are going to look at some of these offensive linemen. You guys Shayne, you talked about the kid from Tulsa. We're going to take a look at him as well as a few others. Berlissimo and I are looking at some small school studs. Solomon, I just had his name, the cornerback from Sam Houston State, and another young buck. I'm trying to get Leo Chanel's tape as well because I want people to just recognize this guy's ability. But go ahead, Shayne. What were you going to say?
No, you were talking about Tyler Smith.
Tyler Smith, yes.
Yeah, is the guy. And
I
mean, if I was a betting man right now, if I was to give you two names for 39 and 48 that I think that could very, very well, if the Bears aren't on the move, I think those are two of the names that you could very well see on draft night. I think they're
absolutely
very, 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 I'll say this again, guys. Very, 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 very high on some lists in
There you go.
Very, very wink.
And we're going to be breaking him down on the Patreon. Sign up right there. It's right in the corner, right next to Cars' cheek. Become a patron. TheTapeNeverLies.com. And Cherie, like an excellent producer, would do. Jackal probably would drop the ball and not put the banner up. I know, exactly. We didn't even get to see I advertised his skit.
Can only imagine the smells coming out of that thing, but
yeah, he was talking about his toilet, Shayne, when he was No, I love Jackal. He's still not doing shit.
Can only imagine the smells coming out of that thing, but only imagine the smells coming out of that thing, but
Jackal better do some shit. Jackal better do some shit.
Speaking of Jack, he'll be back. All jokes aside, Jackal will be back next week, but it's that time of the show, and I will be talking about Jackal right after this.
Shout out to Shout out. baby. Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holler at you. Keep it 100 crew. Gotta show love too. Shout out. I know you hear me, baby. Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holler at you. Keep it 100 crew. Gotta show love too. From the fans in the stands to the follows on the gram. Thanks for your support, showing love in the DM. We stay Spencer strong, fight together till the end. Now it's time to shout out worldwide friends and fam. Like
the network that keeps it real, 100 crew. So many in the world that I gotta show love to. For some, this single show is at its end, but for me it's so important to thank the charter members and the fans. Built the network, speak the truth through the tape. Never run around the truth, no narratives we create. Set them straight, no bubble screen on 4th and 8. Audio Shayne getting nervous, cause keeping them up too late. That's it, no more to say to get the shot of vital. But hurry up, cause the postman's getting homicidal.
Shout out. I know you hear me, baby. Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holler at you. Keep it 100 crew. Gotta show love too. Shout out. I know you hear me, baby. Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holler at you. Keep it 100 crew. Gotta show love too.
The network that keeps it real. Spencer strong.
Like, hey, the Packers are always going to have their quarterbacks. The Bears are going to have to face them twice a year. And before we went live, Adam, it's like you can put 2 losses on the Bears schedule there whenever it comes out. But
yeah, thank you for that.
Great.
By the way, guys, we're 0-17. They've already given up the record. So we tried. Good try.
Well, thank you for staying up late with us, Daz. You're going to be one of the guys I shout out. But I always let the lady of the house kick it off like nobody else can. It was so amazing seeing Cherie. There she is. In Chicago at the party that Shayne wasn't at, but everybody else was at. Cherie, you have to shout out.
Son caught cancer. Fucking selfish kid.
It was only small cancer.
Yeah, it wasn't serious cancer, Greg. Imagine. That happened, by the way, Cherie.
What?
True story.
Tell me Greg did not say that.
All right, nobody likes brags.
See, this is why nobody likes brags.
Jesus.
He didn't say it like that.
Not like
but anyway.
No, it's too late. We're running with that.
Yeah, he's full on asshole in my book now.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
No. Cherie.
Yeah.
You have any points? You have any shout outs?
Yes.
No, Greg is on the top of the list.
Oh no. No, shout out to Cars. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Show you love. Of course, to you guys again. Phil let me know today that I was going to be moderating. So
great job, by the way.
But no, I just always love hanging out with you guys. Shout out to Claudio and Jackal for not being here. We did miss you guys. Hope you get better. Whatever. Hope you feel better.
He gave you the.
Shayne feels about Claudio and Jackal. I'll move on.
Shayne went all in on the whole one.
Shout out to Bullets for always showing me love, checking in, and just being crazy and fun in the chat room. Other chat room superstars, which Phil, you did mention one, was Daz. I'm probably going to destroy your name. I'm sorry. Cerebriani. I think he said this is his first time being watching live. So welcome. Hope you have fun. Thank you for staying up. And also,
your mom's cunt.
also Lucas Vandermite this is my first time really seeing him in the chat, and he was very active, and he was fun to interact
There
with.
he is, Lucas, right there. Vandermeid.
I think I've seen him before.
Oh,
I don't think I've seen him either.
I think so.
Oh, well,
Well,
my first time.
Lucas gets a shout out. She's in charge of the chat, Shayne.
Yeah.
Jesus, Shayne.
I'm sorry.
God bless Shayne.
Be careful.
Jesus.
I love her mother, Shayne. Don't even go there.
Oh, you should have seen. I forget, a couple of days ago, I looked down at my phone and it's a text from Sheree. It says, "Really?" And I'm like, "What the fuck happened now?" I forgot I had responded to somebody at a YouTube comment. They're like, "Of course, Shayne would include that right at the end of the show," and I'm like, "Oh, Shayne didn't do it. Sheree did it." So I just totally forgot about it. I didn't know Sheree was going to look at it like a week later.
Because I usually don't see the chat, because I don't usually watch it back. I just pull the clips because I write down the times. But yeah, I actually went in the chat and see Shayne blaming stuff on me, and then when I tell him about it, he's like, "Oh man, that's messed up."
I hate to break it. I don't know if you know this. Shayne is a championship 6-time record holder for bus chucking. It's amazing. I've never seen it.
Bus chucking.
I just started sending her cute pictures of my daughter, and then she started to love me again.
I forgive him when he sings.
It's his technique. He's got a technique. Cars. Great job, Sheree, tonight. Seriously.
Yeah, great job.
Stepping up.
Shout out to everybody. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes and everything. It's always great to celebrate being, as my daughter Aubrey said, really, really old. So thank you everyone for that. But no, look, I love the back and forth on the chat. Thanks everybody for your interaction. It really means, it really makes this a lot more fun, because otherwise I think we would still be rehashing the same things that we've been rehashing for 25 years. So thanks everybody for your interactions, and yeah, that's it.
Great job, Shayne. Marsaw. Happy birthday, by the way, Cars.
Thank you. Thank you.
He's catching us, Phil. Cars.
Yeah, he is.
Don't worry, my wife will kill me before I hit 50, so you guys will win. Hands down, hands down.
We're probably all in that boat.
Yeah.
No, shout out to you guys. Said we put a lot of time and effort into what we do here. I think everybody is aware of that. So when we do get a chance to get away, I know Phil got to get away with his beautiful family this past summer. I'm getting away. We're leaving Saturday just to go away for a week and kind of relax on the beach and kind of re-energize before we kick everything off in 2 weeks for the NFL draft. I told Hila the other day, I said, "Hey, you realize when we get back that shit's going to kind of hit the proverbial fan." She's like, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "It's draft week." And she's like, "Well, okay, so what's going on?" I'm like, "Well, you remember last year we went live the Sunday before the draft, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we have it all covered here. It's a testament to our families that let us get away with that and do what we love to do, because you guys have heard me say here, I hate to even call this work what we do, because I love, like, the NFL draft for me is, I call it grown man's Christmas. It really is. Like, I'm like a little kid in my bed the night before being like, oh shit, is it time to wake up and, for draft day? And I love it. I'm one of the degenerates that is there for every pick and eat it all up. And I'm glad that we have this forum and control every aspect of it, that we can put out the content that we want, how we want, and when we want. That's why Phil and I started this a couple of years ago, and it's starting to pay off. The momentum hasn't stopped here, and that's a testament to our fans, our loyal fans, and to our patrons, especially, that help us out each and every month on the financial side to reinvest into this product. It's no different than running an NFL team for real. I mean, you can, you can make some money, but you're reinvesting it back into the product to make it better for you guys every week, and it helps make our job a little bit easier. So I'm looking forward to it, man. The NFL draft was a huge kickoff for us last year, and I think even though the Bears don't have a first rounder this year, I think it's going to be equally important and just as impressive, the coverage. So shout out to everybody involved behind the scenes, up front, on the shows, and most importantly to you fans. I don't think you're going to get any better coverage anywhere than here on TTNL Network. If you're not a patron, sign up for the draft. See how you like it. I think you'll love it. TheTapeNeverLies.com. It's $7. If you don't like it, you can say that other people's coverage is stepping up their game and theirs is free, and you delete your account. So that's fine. But we'll accept you there too. But love you guys. Love my family. Probably not going to be on much of the show next Wednesday. I'm going to, consider that mostly family time. Kind of, like I said, get away. I'll pop in just to make sure that Phil's not talking too much. Cherie, I'll give Cherie some directives, but we will see you guys. And it's, like I said, Christmas is almost here. And I couldn't be any more excited to do it with you guys.
That's what she said.
That's right.
I'm looking for the reaction, but I'll get it for next week because Jackal will start doing some shit, and Claudio and Caden will be here, and I'll get Shayne's reaction to Justin Fields' pick and all of the draft stuff next week from last year to give you a reminder of what it was. And it's a key guy's point. Shayne has well-deserved vacation, and I think that
been a long year.
Yeah, a lot of stuff you've dealt with, and obviously part of this Riley Strong and Spencer Strong right here having to do that. So much deserved. Listen, we all have lives. Everybody's dealing with stuff, and hopefully is Wednesday's night is like Jackal said to me before the show. It's an escape, and he wanted to be here so bad. But that's my first shout out to him, to Shayne, to enjoy his vacation with his family. We got this covered. More microphone time for me is always a good thing, I think. So
yeah, and if there's any Bears fans, TTNL fans down in Myrtle Beach, hit me up. I'll come say hi. We can talk a little NFL draft and maybe crack a beer or two.
There you go. Let them know. Next week we'll be on with Dan Wiederer and be breaking that down, the Bears and his thoughts. Hopefully he's as smooth, elegant, and articulate as our girl, Courtney Cronin, who I have to shout out tonight for coming on and really bringing in and letting Bears fans, the best Bears fans, the most educated ones, know who she is and that she's listening to you. That's all I could say. And that's a really good thing. Shout out to you, Courtney, for coming on, keeping it 100. Really, and I felt like you did keep it 100. I want to shout out Mike Antonui, who also helped Claudio. We got to get Mike on. I know he's a Jets fan, but we'll get him on for some draft talk.
Make fun of his quarterback.
I got to shout him out. Claudio is under the weather, Shayne. I don't know if we have that drop, but no. Claudio wanted to come on tonight.
Here it is, right here.
So let's get the auction underway. On the first cow here, who's got 55? 55, 55.
Yes, shout out Claudio and Jackal, Caden Whitlow, Ron G. Jumped on despite his whole house in chaos, much like mine, and made those backgrounds tonight. I love Ron G's teamwork. This guy does everything for the network at a drop of the hat. I love that. Caden Whitlow for the open. I'm shouting out Daz Sarabiani for being in Scotland, staying up late for the episode. I'm shouting out Shayne's boy, Jordan, We're going.
I like Jordan. No, he's very knowledgeable. Like I said,
I like Jordan too.
That's what we do.
We might interview you, Jordan. Come on, and we'll see if you could pass the test. Look at Corn Planter showing up exactly when I'm gonna. Or did Cherie know that? Corn Planter shouting you out. Jeff Burton, Carr's former #1 fan.
He's abandoned me. He's dead to me now. We had a good run though, Jeff. We did.
I want to shout out George C. Tronsru, or is it Tronsue? I don't know. But George has been very active, and I really appreciate you, George. Factor 1, Bullets, Jeremy Fourier. My guy Julio from Connecticut Moving and Storage. Shout him out. Gonna take care of the O's in our big move here. He was in the chat room tonight, but I want to shout him out. My guy Irwin from Solar Zero. Shout him out. Where's my other shout out? I starred your comments. Brett Kimball. I know you're out there. Keys guys. Jared Perry doesn't get enough love. I hope he's still in the chat. Otis Nichols, patron #1. Want to shout you out. And listen, we'll be back live next week, breaking it down. Hopefully you become a patron nomad and listen to the crew. Patron is this. It's not like a paid subscription. It's an understanding that the analysis and the energy and effort and all of the things that make this channel, this network, so original that everybody else is copying or trying to be what we do. But it's just a natural thing. That's why it's often duplicated, but never can be what it is that we are. That's all I do. That's all I know. And that's where we're going with this. I'm looking to add more shows to the network, some analysts. We're already announced tonight. Cars Keys will be back. And we got a bunch of other exciting announcements in the next coming weeks and even after the draft. That being said, all of you guys that were in the chat, Bullets, you were #1. I'll give you that. I got to shout you out. Cam Beige, I see him in the chat. I see you working hard, getting your health right. Keep it going, brother. And one last thing. Listen, you get one life. One life. I meant exactly what I said to her. I said, you live and die with this football team. You know, make sure you reach out to your friends and family and anybody that's in your life and let them know not only that you love them, but about TTNL. That's a part of the family. For the smartest man and every mother he hates.
Sounds like he loves more mothers than they should. Yeah, it really does.
Right.
For the Lord himself. May I speak for you, Lord Hans?
Yeah, we'll allow it this time. Absolutely.
Thank you. For the Lord himself and for the lady with the curls. New moderator. Are we just going to name her new moderator, Claudia?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd say we do it, yeah.
Right. For the new moderator, Cherie, I'm your guy, Draft Dr. Phil. Become a patron. Buy some swag. Let Alex Acevedo know how much you love him. Remember to tip your waiters and have a great weekend. Have a great Easter weekend. Enjoy the vacation. God bless and good night.
There's hope.
I hope that there's hope. 100 on the Tape Never Lies Network.
Stability isn't availability. It's accountability. You fucking nerd fucks.
It's all good. Forget about it.
He wrote an entire article on how David Montgomery actually hurts the Bears offense.
What?
Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here?
What world are we in?
What are they seeing? I mean,
You want me to take a dump in a box and mark it guaranteed? I will.
Then let me do what I hired to do.
Gotta do what we gotta do. Okay.
oh, this is what
Your quarterback was in this defense, and you were in blitz defense, and he won't go. He'll be a late goal because he's watching that guy.
Right.
You got to cover him.
Got to cover him. That's the hot read. Balls.
Favorite manly set. I was in the streets in high school.
The only way people knew that I had actually gone through puberty by listening to my voice is hair either had to be here or here, and that was it.
That side view, the presentation view, man, it's not the same when you get to analyze what's going on and what are the problems. Like, as soon as you had that back view, I was like, wow.
There's the center not doing a good enough job.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll call our show TTNL in the stands.
He inherited dick.
Listen, my favorite podcast outside of the Football Guys Network is the Tape Never Lies Network.
Never take cough syrup and mix it up with iodine and lye.
Give me one of these real quick.
Yeah.
There it is. I think we do Cherie.
Yeah, I don't.
I fucking love it. I love it.
We never got the whys.
Give me the fucking name.
The tape never lies.
Thanks for watching the best Chicago Bears show on the planet. Keeping it 100 on the Tape Never Lies Network.
It never lies, it never does. It makes the story true for us.